are married, and kids are grown and out of the house, and so it's hard to believe. And one is lives locally and employed, and then another one works for another electric utility in northern Spokane area.
Oh, cool. Well, tell us a little bit about your management style and the direction that you want to take with the department.
Management style, I've always considered myself to be collaborative or participative, and that's I'm trusting by nature, and so I try to empower our employees, engage with them, and that's a style that works well with those. It's a hard question to answer because it really depends on the situation.
Sure.
And there are times when as a manager there is not time to be collaborative or participative, and a decision's got to be made. And so there are times that I'll revert to being directive and making a decision on that. So depends on the situation, but however, it's in general it's collaborative or participative.
That's great. How many employees do you oversee at the City of Richland Energy Services Department?
City's Energy Services, we have 62 employees in the city working for the electric utility, 62 and a half employees.
To be exact.
Exactly. And halves matter.
That's right.
And so it's a good number, and we're very fortunate to be able to rely on resources across the city, whether that's in our billing department, our HR department, and so our cable communications awesome department.
There you go.
and so although we're only 62 and a half employees within our department, the city in itself has a lot of resources for us to utilize.
That's great. And so within the department, do you have some divisions?
So within Energy Services, we have 5-6 departments, divisions that actually support one another, and they're many. You can kind of think of them as many departments, and one of them is our power operations department, and it contains our linemen and our folks that are out there doing restoration and maintaining our electrical infrastructure. And we have our meter power protection shop within systems division, and that helps maintain our substations, all of our meters, and our substation transformers. We have a electronics shop that it supports our traffic signals and our radio infrastructure, and then an electrician shop that supports our city facilities for their electrical needs. We have an engineering division and a power conservation division. And so it's a full department with a number of divisions supporting one another.
Yeah, that's great. So, Clint, can you share a little bit with us about our energy conservation programs that we have here at the city?
Absolutely. It's another one of our programs that I think adds a tremendous value for our customers. And within Energy Services, the city's Energy Services Department, we offer a conservation program to do loans on energy conservation devices, say heat pumps, windows, insulation, and there are others besides those programs. And I think the biggest value one of the biggest values that we offer for customers is the inspection portion of the home conservation program. And so after a contractor installs the equipment, our department will actually go out and provide that inspection to make sure it was done correctly and to the most efficient reason for our customer. And so that in my mind is an area that we provide services for our customers, and it provides a peace of mind after a contractor's done an installation.
So this, for example, you have a home that was built in the 1980s, which may not have been as energy efficient as our homes are today. So would we send out an inspector to a home if you feel as though you could decrease your energy usage?
Well, there are several ways to do it, and it can be by you can start by contacting our Energy Services Department and directly. It can also be done through a contractor and approved contractor to come out and inspect the customer's equipment. And then the third is just determined by the customer themselves. This is homes, heat pumps generally our life expectancy is about 15 years, and so after a certain amount of time, it's time to replace that equipment. Even though the heat pump might have been state of the art in the 1980s or earlier, there are new equipment today that can operate more efficiently and provide more comfort for the customers. And so there are opportunities to do that, and I would start by suggesting calling our Energy Services Department.
Okay, thanks for explaining that a little bit more for me. In contrast to other jurisdictions in our area, Richland's electric utility is owned and operated by the city. What are the advantages of this?
Being an electric municipal, it's rewarding for us to be able to give back to our customers. City municipals were we're the third largest in Washington State, behind City of Seattle and City of Tacoma.
Wow.
Right? And so that's an unusual place to be, and so electric municipals, we're able to provide for our customers without an investor aspect or worrying about shareholders and stockholders. Sure. Our customers are our customers, and that's who we work for.
Yeah. Expanding on that, since we are citizen-owned, a utility owned by citizens, how is this decision-making process organized?
So we have a public input process through a couple areas. One of them is the Utility Advisory Committee and UAC, and they help provide guidance, recommendations, along with staff to council. And City Council is ultimately our decision makers for rates and for budgets and policy decisions.
How many people participate on the UAC?
Yeah, on our Utility Advisory Committee, we have 7 members, and these are volunteers from the public, and with a cross-section of diverse experience from finance, from technical, and utility operations. And so they help provide a balance to staff and provides that diversity for council. And then of course we have our council who ultimately makes the decisions.
Sure. No, that's great. What are the most urgent power supply issues that we have in the Northwest?
Well, as many of us know, we get all of our power from Bonneville, and historically, and that's Bonneville Power Administration, and Bonneville's system is really tapped out, maxed out, and so our contract is with Bonneville through 2028. However, that is a contract that will be renegotiated in the upcoming years. Takes at least 4 to 6 years ahead of time to negotiate a contract of that size and complexity. And so our regional issues include our wholesale power, obtaining resources in the long term, and then that's also going to involve renewables. In our near future, 2023 time periods, we'll be looking to obtain additional renewable resources to help augment what Bonneville provides to us and what our customers are looking for.
And that's not something that we would be generating. As a city, again, it would be something that we would be purchasing from.
That's correct.
Okay.
We do not generate any power, and so we have to obtain our power from either Bonneville or from non-federal resources.
Okay. You mentioned low-cost power as a priority.
Yes.
What is the city doing to keep our electric rates as low as possible?
Well, we're always looking to see what the lowest resources are out there. In Bonneville, on a wholesale market, is about, on average, about 3.5 cents a kilowatt hour. And so there are currently some non-federal resources that we're securing in the short term that are a little less than Bonneville. And so we'll be looking to secure non-federal resources above what our BPA needs are, and then of course using technology to maximize our efficiencies as we go forward.
Sure.
And I think we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
Yeah. When you say non-federal, are you referring to more maybe wind energy, solar, private companies?
Yeah,
okay.
It's private companies, and it's one of our contracts is currently with Shell Energy.
Okay.
And then TransAlta is another one that you have some near-term contracts with, short-term contracts. And that is available in the market, a little less than Bonneville currently. And it's of course we're going to look for the lowest cost possible. Sure. Generally, that's Bonneville, and however, with our system is a growing system here in Richland, sure. We're having to look to expand beyond what BPA has allocated for us.
Okay. Do we expect any rate changes in the coming year?
Well, unfortunately, change is always coming, sure. and sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's bad. And in 2018, we had a 6.5% rate increase, electric utility increase, and we look forward. We do a lot of long-term planning, and one of them is forward rate planning. And so currently we're looking at about 7.5% in the 2020 time period, and then we try to minimize rate increases as much as possible, and for the services that we provide, and then also try to minimize them to about every other year, if possible.
Is that kind of standard inflation, you think, over the course of a couple of years that you see industry-wide? Well,
it's in some cases it is. In some cases, inflation has been as low as 2% lately. And a lot of our rate increases are driven by our wholesale power costs. And wholesale power is about 60 to 65% of our total costs. And so which is significant. And when we have Bonneville, BPA maybe averaging 5.5% a year. So we minimize the costs as much as we can. We absorb them where we can. We try to use operational efficiencies to the best that we can.
Sure.
And however, there are rate increases that are necessary to keep the reliability of the infrastructure and the services we're currently providing.
Great. So what changes can our citizens expect in the coming year in their energy services?
Well, I mentioned always striving to improve our operational effectiveness, and one of the ways that we plan to do that is through technology. And so we are looking at possibly a smart grid project that will provide us information on where to invest our capital infrastructure dollars budget to the best that we can. On that is rather than using people's opinions, it's use the technology to identify where to invest those dollars in the budget.
And with the smart grid, it allows. Can you explain that just a little bit more, kind of what that technology is?
Well, the foundation of smart grid is perhaps what some folks would maybe realize as an advanced metering infrastructure. So it starts with technology at the meter, being able to relay on what the usage patterns are back to the city. And along with that comes information is with where the highest usage is, and where maybe reliability is lower than it should be, or where we would expect it to be. And so we strive for high reliability, and that smart grid, that metering infrastructure, can help us provide that information as to where reliability and usage is not matching. And then with that technology, then we'll be able to invest budgets to improve our system for our customers.
Sense. Will that also help with outages, for identifying that?
And responding to them, yes.
Yeah.
And so currently when we have an outage, it's a deluge of phone calls,
yes.
which is it gets the blood flowing, and it makes for very exciting moments and stressful moments on that. And so technology will allow us to know when that outage occurred, where the outage occurred, and then also allows us to be able to dispatch the crews quickest, rather than on relying on people to direct us or to maybe even guess on that. That technology will direct us to the problem locations, and so that the outages can be, time durations can be reduced. And so while we encourage and we love hearing from our customers, I think that's a piece of technology that will go a long ways to comforting folks to know that we know they're out of power and we're working on it.
So how reliable is our energy distribution system?
Well, I think we've got one of the more reliable systems in the U.S., and we're fortunate not to have the natural disasters of hurricanes, tornadoes, and so our reliability problems come from aging infrastructure and maybe some squirrels here and there, and an occasional tree branch.
Sure.
And so with our reliability, our numbers are about one outage a year per customer, and typically in that 60 to 90 minute duration.
Okay.
It's a number that is low nationwide. However, it's a number that we're going to continue to drive down. We want to invest in our reliability of our system, our aging infrastructure, and then continually to improve the reliability.
What are some of the things people can do, citizens can do, as far as their trees go? Do we have a tree trimming program that helps? You mentioned that in regards to outages. Yes,
we can. We have a few areas that are very helpful for our customers, and one of those areas is a tree trimming program. If a tree calls into our number, and I'm sure we'll share that number here in a minute, and we can have a crew come out and inspect the tree, inspect the distribution line, and then make a determination as to whether that tree needs to be on a tree trimming program, or if it's a tree that's a difficult tree and just maybe needs to get removed. And so it has to be impactful to the distribution system. It's not a program that we do tree trimming otherwise.
For aesthetics?
Yeah. No, it's definitely to improve our reliability of our system.
Sure. I mean, we do tend to get a windstorm every now and again here, so
it does blow on occasion.
We can remove some of those stubborn limbs that might cause issues.
Yeah.
Are there any other things you would like to share with our citizens about our electric utility?
Well, I'm pleased to be the director, and I look forward to improving our system beyond where we're at now. And we've got some great employees, and we're poised to be able to use some technology to make some impactful improvements for our customers. And so I'm looking forward to helping to serve our customers.
Okay, well, I want to thank Clint Whitney for coming on our program today. If you have any questions about our Energy Services Department or the city in general, the best place to start is the city's website at the link at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for joining us on this edition of City Corner. I'm Holly Logan.
You're watching CityView TV, your Richland community connection.
Municipal codes have been put in place to improve the safety, well-being, and quality of life for Richland citizens. Code violations cover many topics, including weeds, animal control, junk vehicles, and noise violations. As a good citizen, it is your responsibility to know and understand Richland municipal codes. To report what you think might be a code violation, call the Code Enforcement Office at 942-7739. If an officer is unavailable, please follow the instructions on the recorded message. You will be mailed a postcard that shows the case number of your complaint and assigned officer's contact information. For barking dogs, contact the Code Enforcement Office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. After hours, call the non-emergency dispatch number at 628-0333. For all other animal complaints, contact Tri-City Animal Control at 545-3740. Anonymous animal noise complaints will not be accepted. This type of complaint requires reporting party information. Noise violations are enforced by the Richland Police Department. To report a noise violation, call the non-emergency police dispatch number at 628-0333. You may also submit a code violation request from the city's website using Request Tracker. Go to I Want To, then Report, then Code Violation, or click on the Request Tracker from the city's main page. You can also view Richland's municipal codes from the city's website, or a copy is available for viewing at the Richland Public Library.
Hello, I'm Captain Hargrove with the Richland Fire Department, here to talk to you a little bit about PulsePoint. About a month ago, we introduced PulsePoint to you. It's a smartphone app that allows you to find out if someone needs CPR within a half-mile radius of your location. It allows us to help save lives. And recently, Eric Center got that notification on his phone. Eric, if you could just kind of talk to us a little bit about, I guess, what occurred.
Yeah, so I was at a restaurant with some family and friends celebrating a birthday, and the notification came in. It was real quick. I had it on my watch as well, and it just simply said CPR needed, and the restaurant where the CPR was needed, and happened pretty quick. I just let my wife know next to me, hey, there's somebody that needs CPR down the street, and grabbed my brother-in-law, just said, come with me, and we started running towards the restaurant. When we'd gotten there, walked in the front door, just basically asked the hostess there where CPR needed. You know, had my phone out, kind of trying to show her what was going on. She had pointed to the back, and sure enough, there was a lady back there that needed CPR. Somebody was already doing compressions, and there's probably a group of 3 or 4 folks around the individual. So I ran up, and at about that time, somebody had said, is anybody else CPR certified? And I said I am, and somebody was instructing the lady doing compressions when I arrived to switch out with me. So at that point we switched out, and I started doing compressions for probably a couple minutes before the medics got there. So I imagine the lady doing compressions probably was the first person to start doing compressions, and probably been doing those compressions for probably 2 to 3, 4 minutes. So I believe the individual was well taken care of from the get-go. And I don't know if she was a PulsePoint responder or not, but that's pretty much it. So
when the alert came on your phone, what did it sound like? What happened?
So everything was on vibrate. I actually probably wouldn't have checked my phone, but I had it on the watch, and I just happened to look at it and saw that. Pulled my phone out for more information to kind of confirm that was really happening, and sure enough, I had that. So it just kind of you have to make that split-second decision: do I go or do I not go? And you know, I think most people would make the decision to go. I think if you get put in the situation, you have the training, I think most people would step up and do that. So never thought it happened to me, but happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Now, when we introduced PulsePoint, the reason we did it is over 1,000 cardiac arrests happen every single day. 21% of those cardiac arrests happen within a public setting, and 49% of those cardiac arrests are witnessed. So what we found through studies and research and science, it's proven that if people receive early care to include cardiac arrest, resuscitation, and AED use, they have a 3 times more likelihood chance of survival. Now, talking to you before, you had mentioned that you kind of just downloaded the app almost for fun. You never thought it would happen, right?
Yeah, never really. As I downloaded it, I thought, what are the chances, But I figured it's a city thing. We're rolling this out. We want to embrace it and get everyone else to get it. So let's do it and just have it for the sake of having it and supporting the app. And sure enough, it just happened to be right where I was. So.
And a part of our push, since this is new, is trying to get the word out there to let people know that this app is available, and it's useful, and it obviously will help save lives. But the other part of that, too, is people say, well, someone else is already responding. I don't think I'm needed. When you were doing CPR, you said you did it for 2 or 3 minutes. Is that taxing?
Yeah, absolutely. There was, like I said, the woman there doing compressions before I arrived. I imagine she'd been doing it the whole time, and I imagine she was getting tired at that point. So having more people there to jump in when needed, definitely important. So to your point, I guess, everybody should respond if you're in the area.
Okay. So what would you tell people that are hesitant, should I download it, should I not download it? What would you say to those people that are kind of on the fence?
I would say definitely get the app. You may be in the right place at the right time. And even if you don't have your current certification card, maybe you've been through the training once or twice, or you just have a general idea how to do compressions, that you should get it, and you never know, you may be able to help and just increase the percentage of someone surviving. So
yeah, and like you said, even if you have a general idea of CPR, what we try to emphasize is bad CPR is better than no CPR at all. If someone has no pulse, you cannot hurt them with CPR. You can only help them with CPR. So I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for responding. What I can say is that the person did not have a pulse when you arrived. At arrival at the hospital, this individual did have a pulse. So what you did makes a difference. People who have PulsePoint, you will make a difference. We encourage you to go to your Google Play Store or your App Store, download PulsePoint today. Eric, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, he's with the NUC program.
I am by nature a curious and energetic person. So it's antithetical to who I am just to not be involved, not to do things. I'm part of a generation where it's sort of expected that you participate in the community that you live in. I spend approximately 3 days a week as the executive director of Elijah Family Homes. I spend maybe a day and a half volunteering with my church, and then I spend time as a volunteer in police service with the Richland Police Department. I am Richard Nordgren, and I am...
A little bit of grease does not go a long way. When washed down the drain, grease sticks to the inside of sewer pipes, not only on your property, but throughout the city's sewer drainage system. Over time, the grease builds up and can result in costly sewer repairs for both the homeowner and the city. Grease buildup in sewer lines continues to be a problem that can only be solved with your help. Please dispose of grease properly. More information and helpful tips are available on the City of Richland's webpage.
Just wanna be cool, I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone, said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, hang out with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. To a world unknown, I throw myself aboard a mission I wanna explore. Now being cool is about doing what I love, and every day I rise and start living it up. Make mistakes and fail a ton, taking on life just to make it fun. I spend a lot of time working for the man, too scared to jump in the lot without no plan. Well, it is what it is, and it do what it do. I'm taking it to another level of cool. Staring in the eyes of every fear and understanding there's no place for it here. I'm gonna get excited and celebrate. I'm gonna move on from all my mistakes. I'm gonna love like I never loved before to keep you coming back. I just wanna be cool. I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone. Said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, sing it with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. Now fade away. To party all night. I don't wanna be gone. Said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, sing it with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. I just wanna be cool. I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone. Said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, sing it with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. Now fade away.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Explore Richland. I'm Mark Ingham. Well, today we are exploring at the Caterpillar Cafe, which is located on the Simon side of the Uptown Shopping Center. Now, we are here to talk about a subject that is near and dear to the heart of at least my wife. I'm talking about shopping. Now, soon it'll be one of the busiest shopping times of the entire year. Nestled between Black Friday and Cyber Monday is Small Business Saturday. Now, the City of Richland is encouraging residents to participate in Small Business Saturday, and we've come up with an exciting event to make sure they do just that. Now, to talk about that, we are pleased to welcome Mandy Walner to the program. Mandy is the Marketing Specialist in the Economic Development Department. Mandy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Now, Mandy, you're a new face here at the City of Richland, and I kind of wanted to start off by introducing you to our residents. So, can you please start out by maybe just telling us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the City of Richland?
Well, just over a month I've been with City of Richland, and I'm actually loving the work that I'm doing here. I came from Trios Foundation, where I did a lot of major events and community development for them, and I served on Planning Commission for 6 years, so some of the faces in Richland are a little more familiar, so that makes it fun.
Wow. We have an exciting event coming up. Talk with us a little bit about what the City of Richland has planned for Small Business Saturday.
Well, City of Richland is really partnering a lot with our Uptown and Parkway businesses to be able to feature them on Small Business Saturday with a promotion from 10 to 4. We're going to be handing out passports. Residents can come pick those up and get deals and coupons for different businesses within those two areas. They get the passport stamped by 10 participating businesses, and then that qualifies them for prizes.
Wow. And where do they pick up those passports at?
Well, we're going to have 2 locations, so right here at Caterpillar Cafe, and then we'll also have one for Encore Wellness on the Parkway.
Wow, that's an exciting event. I believe it's the second time we've done this.
Second time we've done it, so we're hoping to grow the event, but if nothing else, we just want to make sure we feature businesses and get everybody out to have a good, supportive Small Business Saturday.
You bet. Yeah, I remember it being a great event last year, and I wanted to ask you, do people need to purchase anything at these stores to be able to get a stamp?
No, that's kind of the best part, is that they don't actually have to purchase anything. They just need to go in and obviously engage someone to get their stamp, and other than that, they don't have to make a purchase. Some of them do have discounts available, so there's benefits to purchasing, but that's not something they have to do.
Okay, great. Now, what are business owners saying about this event? Is this an event they're excited about? You know, what do they get out of an event like this?
So the businesses are kind of excited to play because they pay a $20 donation towards the prize packages, and so those are kind of put together by donations from the businesses. And then it just brings traffic to their store, some awareness. There's sometimes turnover in some of these kind of Parkway-type businesses and the Uptown, and so it brings awareness to their business. They give back to the community, and so it's just kind of a fun partnership for everybody.
Yeah, you bet. Now let's talk about the prizes. You mentioned $20 to kind of get into that, to go into the prizes. So what are the prizes this year?
Well, so we've got a lot of cool stuff so far, and it's still rolling in because Friday's the deadline for them to register. Okay. So we get $20 gift cards for coffee. We have coupons for the Emerald of Siam, so you get a discount on your purchase. We also have some cute signs that people have donated from some of the antique stores, scarves. So it just kind of depends. I get to build those baskets, so I'm anxious to see what they turn out to be. But they'll have themes, and it'll be kind of fun, some in both places. So all of the passports will get combined into one drawing for the prizes that we have.
Perfect. Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Now, is there any advice? Do you have any advice for the residents that are participating in this event?
I think the best way to feature Small Business Saturday or participate is to come down and kind of plan to spend the afternoon, have lunch at one of the venues, get your passport stamped. It doesn't have to be a marathon. Just kind of enjoy the process and the kickoff to the holiday season.
Yeah, I thought that was an important thing to say. Is like maybe just don't get your passport and then just run into the business and stamp it and then run out, right?
No.
I mean, that's got to be like the worst way to enjoy this event. So take your time and,
Take your time, enjoy it. We're going to hand out shopping bags and a little bit of swag too. So, just kind of visit, take the time to get to know what's around and enjoy.
Now, I thought of probably 10 or 15 ways to try to ask this question to you, but I kind of came up with, why is it important for the City of Richland to promote local businesses?
Well, I think it's always important to promote business in general, right? But being able to bring residents and awareness to small business is important. Being able to recognize those businesses and make everybody feel like a part of the Richland family, I think is really important. And that's our job as a city, to be able to feature them and feel like it's a cooperative relationship. And so everybody's involved and feels important.
Yeah, well said, Mandy. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the program and talking to us about Small Business Saturday, scheduled for November Saturday
24th.
That's right, from 10 to 4. Come down to the Caterpillar Cafe. And we would like to thank the Caterpillar Cafe for hosting our program today. And of course, if you want more information on Small Business Saturday, you can find that at the web link below. And I would like to thank Mandy Wallner for coming on the program. Mandy is the Economic Development Specialist with the City of Richland. Thank you so much for coming on the program and talking about the upcoming exciting Small Business Saturday event. Now, if you would like more information on any program, project, or event happening in the City of Richland, I strongly encourage you to visit our website, which is at the link below. And remember, we are where you are. Find the City of Richland on all the popular social media platforms. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Mark Ingham. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Explore Richland. Mandy, did you play the piano?
No, that's not a good thing.
This year marks the 20th anniversary of the City of Richland's Tree City USA designation and the 15th year as a Tree Line USA utility from the Arbor Day Foundation. While these speak well for the city's quality of life and urban forest canopy, the designations mean much more than just holding an annual tree planting event.
The City of Richland has miles and miles of overhead electrical lines. And, all those electrical lines go through backyards, and customers have numerous trees that are planted along those lines. And if those trees go unpruned, they actually will grow up into the high voltage lines and cause power outages. So the city has an active tree pruning program that we go through and prune those trees out of the power lines to help prevent outages.
Years ago, before we started investing more money in, you were hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in outage time and manpower and materials and those things to keep that. And now we're down to a couple $1,000s per event. And I think we would average of 25 events a year down to a handful, 5-6 events a year.
But it's more than just trimming trees. It's a comprehensive program of education, proper tree selection, and removal and replacement of trees in the right-of-way corridor.
And what that is if a customer has a tree that's constantly growing into the power lines, like one of those fast-growing poplars, we'll actually come through and remove that tree at no cost with the customer's permission, and then we'll provide a landscape tree replacement voucher to go towards the purchase of a new tree. And we're looking for customers to plant trees that grow 25 feet or less.
We go, we have take our map, we break it into grids, and we move around the city in blocks and take care of the lines, patrolling the lines. And the tree crews do that. Or if a citizen has a concern, they can call in and say, hey, I think this line and this tree are a problem. Can you take a look? We'll send someone out, take a look. If it is, we can get up there and trim it back or do what we need to do.
Richland Energy Services has numerous resources about proper tree care available from the city's website, or you can call the tree trimming phone line at 942-7429. It's a team effort between the city and its citizens that ensures Richland's urban forest is kept healthy and safe, and power outages due to downed power lines are kept to a minimum.
Our reliability is really one of the best for a utility our size in the Northwest. And part of that is keeping those trees trimmed back and keeping our tree program alive and running well.
Oh wow, 100 grand? Spud nuts, my favorite. Not all criminals are this stupid. Don't ruin your day by making it any easier on them. Lock it, remove it, or lose it. No one steals my spud nuts.
The Richland Public Library is proud to call itself a third space, different from home, work, or school, complementing its patrons' need for education, socialization, and entertainment.
The library is a third space because it's a space that's not your home, although you're always welcome here. It's not your office, but we encourage you to come here and study. Libraries are very much a communal space. They are an anchor in the community, a place where people come to meet others, and a place where they can be alone, but in the midst of others, and not in a place of consumption like a shopping place.
It may be the need for information that brings the patrons in, but it's the depth of the programming and activities that keep them coming back.
We are very fortunate in that we have wonderful librarians, and we've been able to specialize as of 2 years ago. So we have a teen librarian, we know we have a wonderful children's librarian, and we have an adult librarian. Why? We do very well when it comes to children's programming, but we have areas of growth when it comes to teens and adults both. Teens need places to go. They need places to be and to be with others. Adult programming also key and very important. We have things like the Memory Cafe where caregivers can get out of the confines of their homes and come here. We have movie days where people can come and watch films, and these are adult geared. In addition, so they supplement, they extend what we have for our children's programming.
The most recent addition to the library's offering is the highly popular STEAM space, which completed construction in August of 2017. This soundproof area was built with funding from the Library Foundation and Friends of the Library. It is the dedicated space for those that want to do.
STEAM is important because it allows people to do things they wouldn't ordinarily do, and the emphasis today in libraries is on doing. For instance, we had a patron who uses the library quite often who has use of only 3 fingers. She was able to come in and is wheelchair bound. She was able to come in and go underseas, and she told us this was the first time she'd ever not felt the weight of her wheelchair. And that's a part of the function of our virtual reality and our STEAM space, which has resources like 3D printers, multiple ones, and we've even had nursing students use those to help them generate different body parts in 3D perspectives. We have robotics such as Ozobots, kids and adults alike. Those are, I think, our most popular toys, if you will. And so people are coming here and the value is clear, and we're very proud to look out in the parking lot and see not one space empty.
And that is why the Richland Public Library is happy to claim its relevancy of being a third space for all.
The libraries remain relevant. They were in the past, they are today, and they will be in the future. It's a place where we are responsive to your needs, to patron needs. And so we will survey. We actually survey twice a year to determine what changing needs people have for the library, and then we seek to answer those. But in terms of the information we have here, everyone knows they're curated. This is the best information, the most current information, and it's available for free as a card-carrying member of the library.
You're watching CityView TV, your Richland community connection.
From a new athletic field almost complete to trail repairs that mean you'll temporarily need to ride in the street. These stories and much more coming up next on Richland Now. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Richland Now. I'm Michael Charbonneau. Work on the Riverfront Trail from the Hampton Inn North to the picnic shelters is complete. Crews reconstructed and widened 300 feet of the pathway. The trail was tapered into a narrower sidewalk on the Hampton Inn property, and repairs were made adjacent to their patio where the trail had settled and posed significant tripping hazards. Original plans called for 3 trees to be removed to accommodate the construction, but we're happy to report that one of the 3 trees was saved. The trail was moved further from one tree in an effort to save it. Thanks for your patience during the construction process. More work on the popular Riverfront Trail launches. Work on the bike trail through Leslie Groves Park between the north end of Haynes Levee and Park Street began on October 23rd. Work is expected to be completed by November 15th if weather conditions cooperate. During the construction process, the pathway will be completely closed. Cyclists will need to use the local residential streets for this period of time. The work is desperately needed as significant cracks across the trail pose major safety issues. These cracks are caused by freezing and thawing of the asphalt. Thank you for your patience as crews work to repair and maintain our park paths during the available window. The Washington State Department of Transportation constructed the SR 240 Columbia Park Trail Roundabout, also known as the Steptoe Roundabout, back in 2007. Increased urban growth and traffic volumes has made the roundabout severely congested during peak travel times, especially the eastbound off-ramp of 240. WashDOT has taken a proactive approach towards quickly and effectively reducing congestion by installing a traffic management tool known as ramp metering. Ramp metering is a simple traffic signal setup that allows vehicles to enter the roundabout one car at a time in a controlled but free-flowing manner. The meter was placed on westbound Columbia Park Trail. This will create the necessary gaps to reduce the backups onto Highway 240. Traffic metering will only be active when backups occur during peak travel times. If you would like more information on the project, visit the link at the bottom of your screen. Crews are putting the final touches on the new athletic fields at Columbia Point Marina Park. The field was mowed 2 inches deep to remove the existing grass. Then soil was brought in to level the field and provide cover over the electrical trenches that were dug during the installation of the field lights. The sprinkler heads were also raised to the new field surface elevation. The new surface is being laser leveled and new sod will be laid soon. The new athletic field will be used for soccer, football, lacrosse, and other sports. It should be finished by November. You have another opportunity to take part in the popular screenshot series, Going Viral, A Parent's Guide. The presentation is put on by the Richland Police Department in partnership with Washington Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force and the Seattle Police Department. This presentation is intended to make parents the first line of defense in the battle against online predators by bringing awareness regarding what our children are doing online and who they are talking to. The discussion covers topics of scent media, cyberbullying, and communications from predators, as well as some of the popular apps and what they're used for. Join us Wednesday, November 7th at 6:30 p.m. at the Richland Public Library for this very important presentation. If you're interested in learning more about the operations and programs of the Richland Police Department and the local criminal justice system, you have that opportunity. Sign up now for the 2019 Citizens Academy by completing and returning an application that can be picked up at the Richland Police Station, City Hall, or the library before the December 14th deadline. The Academy will be held on Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Richland Police Station and will consist of 12 sessions and one Saturday as a field day. The Citizens Academy will give you a better understanding of police operations in our community. It allows police officers as well as other members of the criminal justice system an opportunity to hear your perception of how our department is serving your needs. There is no cost to attend. If you weren't able to watch the live Richland Town Hall meeting, you still have several options to do so. The meeting was recorded in front of a live studio audience and streamed live on Richland CityView TV's YouTube channel. You can watch replays of the Town Hall meeting weekdays at 3 and 9 p.m. on CityView TV, Charter Channel 192, or watched online on CityView's YouTube page. The highlight of the program is listening to City Manager Cindy Rentz unveil our 2019 budget and upcoming projects. Watch our Town Hall meeting and stay educated and informed on what's happening in your city. You should have received your official ballot in the mail, and if you are looking for additional information to make an informed decision, let us help. Richland CityView TV recorded the voters' forums that were hosted by the League of Women Voters of Benton and Franklin County. These forums included candidates for state legislature in the 8th Legislative District, as well as Benton County candidates. The voters' forum will replay on Richland CityView TV through November 6th at 4 and 10 p.m. As the temperatures continue to dip, remember that Richland Energy Services is a great resource for energy efficiency programs and tips. Visit them online for information on residential rebates and low-interest energy efficiency loans. Find information on energy-efficient light bulbs and other energy-efficient tips. These tips and programs are designed to help you save energy, decrease your electric bill, and ultimately save money. We'll honor our veterans at the annual Tri-Cities Regional Veterans Day Parade in downtown West Richland. The parade starts at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, November 10th, and travels down Van Giesen Street. Remember to arrive early to get a good seat before they close down the street. Also show your USA pride by wearing red, white, and blue. You will also want to head to the Flat Top Park Pavilion following the parade for a chili feed. I want to remind you that all Richland facilities will be closed Monday, November 12th, in observance of Veterans Day. However, garbage collection will continue as scheduled. If you would like more information on any story you've seen here, visit the City of Richland's webpage at the link at the bottom of your screen. And don't forget, we are where you are. Find the City of Richland on all our popular social media platforms. I'm Michael Charbonneau. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Richland Now.
We have some pizza boxes, some plastic bags, and styrofoam cups we need to recycle.
I have some lawn clippings that can be recycled as well. Look, there's a blue recycling bin over there. No, those are not recyclable in Richland. When people recycle trash, it makes me nauseous. And I have to throw everything out.
No, don't recycle those. Give me that trash.
What? These are recyclables.
You can reuse these at home or take them back to the grocery store to recycle.
Greasy food, stained cardboard, and other items jam the recycling process and ruin all the good stuff. And it makes me sick.
And items such as food waste, yard waste, paints, chemicals, and plastic bags can cause serious problems with the recycling process.
Wow, that's a problem. Yes, it's a big problem as people are contaminating Richland's recycling stream with the trash.
The recycling system gets jammed, especially with those loose plastic bags, or gets contaminated or ruined with garbage. It lessens the quality of the recycling, and it can end up as trash.
So how do I know what to recycle?
The best place to find out is to go on the online Richland website. All the information is there on what can or can't be recycled. Food items, candy wrappers, paper towels, and those greasy pizza boxes are trash and should stay out of the recycling stream.
And not all plastics can be recycled either. Make sure the neck is smaller than the base.
What about glass? That's recyclable, isn't it?
Not my blue container. Since everything is commingled, glass will break and become a hazard. Most glass can be taken to one of the recycling drop boxes located around town.
Well, at least I know my lawn clippings are recyclable.
But wait! Clean yard waste is recyclable, but the bags are not. The plastic bag goes through the grinder and ends up in the compost as tiny pieces of trash because they don't break down.
Wow, we learned a lot about what we can and can't recycle in Richland.
And that the best place to get that information is on the city's website.
And if we want to be good neighbors, we need to make sure that we are careful in what we put in the blue and green containers, because if we are careless, the recycling stream can get contaminated and end up in the garbage anyways.
Yummy! Thank you! Wheat! This video is brought to you by the letter Y.
Because you need to know how and why to recycle in Richland.
And the numbers 1 and 2, because most of those plastics can be recycled in Richland.
Go Green Richland! Just wanna be cool, I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone, said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, hang out with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. Now to a world unknown, I throw myself aboard a mission I wanna explore. Now being cool is about doing what I love, and every day I rise and start living it up. Make mistakes and fail a ton, taking on life just to make it fun. I spend a lot of time working for the man, too scared to jump in the light without no plan. Well, it is what it is, and it do what it do. I'm taking it to another level of cool, staring in the eyes of every fear and understanding there's no place for it here. I'm gonna get excited and celebrate. I'm gonna move on from all my mistakes. I'm gonna love like I never loved before, to keep you coming back. I just wanna be cool, I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan singing with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. I just wanna be cool, I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone, said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, singing with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. Now I'm fading away.
Thank you for being here. I'm Lori Mattson. I'm President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber. It's a pleasure to welcome you here today to our luncheon featuring Washington's Secretary of State, Kim Wyman. Secretary Wyman is the Chief Elections Officer, Chief Corporations Officer, and Supervisor of the State Archives. Washington's Secretary of State is elected every 4 years and is the second in line of succession to the office of the governor. Secretary Wyman is our 15th secretary, and I want to thank you so much, Secretary Wyman, for being here today and sharing the important work of your office. We're less than a month away from the best week of summer. The Benton Franklin Fair and Rodeo, now in its 70th year, is coming up soon, and the Benton Franklin Fair and Rodeo Executive Director, Lori Lancaster, is here today to talk about this exciting anniversary. So, Lori, if you could please join me on stage. Oh, here she is. Please help me welcome Lori Lancaster.
Good afternoon. As Lori said, we are celebrating our 70th year at the Benton Franklin Fair this year. It's a pretty exciting time. Obviously, this week we're all about celebrating our friends over at the Water Follies, but we wanted to give you a little update because your next meeting will be during our prime time. So in 1948, May 25th to be exact, a group of Tri-City citizens decided that this community needed a fair. Ever since then, the same spirit has held true with the volunteers who put on the event. Our board is volunteer-driven. We have 15 board members currently. We were founded as a nonprofit, which a lot of people don't understand. The fair is a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, and we are a tenant of Benton County for 1 month a year out at the fairgrounds. So our work at the Benton Franklin Fair is fully focused on the event year-round and youth development, which is at the core of our mission. We're really excited to have made great strides in the past year with our rodeo. We have become the number 22 ranked rodeo in the nation out of 650 rodeos. Our event will be live streamed on the Wrangler Network this year, which is a very high honor. We've been trying for 6 or 7 years now to have them live stream our event. So people around the world will actually be able to watch it. They have about 9 million viewers on their network, which is a big deal for us. We won the Remuda Award last year, which meant we had the best rodeo stock of any rodeo in the nation for any PRCA rodeo, and won a 1000 Polaris Ranger, which is a pretty cool event, a pretty cool vehicle for us to have. We've never had anything that nice in our history, I don't think. So we're very careful with it. But we're just really happy to be part of the community. You can go to the fair August 21st to the 25th and check out a lot of the great things we do. At our core are the kids and the animals that they raise and the lessons that they learn in 4-H. Without this fair, I certainly wouldn't have become the person I am or the career that I have. Other prominent people in the community have certainly experienced 4-H and have become leaders. Look at the Visitor and Convention Bureau. The new leader over there is a very big fan of 4-H and grew up in that system. So I think it's really important to remember that with all the bells and whistles of the carnival and the concerts and all the other things we have going out there, it's really about the kids, and that's why we do what we do. We want y'all to come out and have a great time and enjoy the best week of summer. So make sure to get your tickets, come to the concerts. We have Styx, we have Shaka Khan, we have Brett Michaels and Randy Hauser. And then also on Saturday night this year, we are having a local music festival. It's called Tunes, Brews, and Grub. And we have Eclectic Approach and Night Argent. We also have DJ Z-Luck and some other people who are going to do an 80s and 90s DJ set face-off afterward. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of glow sticks and a lot of fun out there. And so we want y'all to come out. And on Thursday afternoon, if you really like the fair food, every vendor will have an item for $2. So you can try as much fair food as you want for $2 a try. So that is the day to be there. So if you like the paint parties you've seen at the area wineries, we'll also have those in our wine garden. So please come out and see us for the best week of summer, August 21st to the 25th.
Thanks, Lori. I know the kids and 4-H and all that's important. I wondered if she was going to get to my favorite part of the fair, which is all that food. And $2 elephant ears, that's crazy. So that's super, super exciting. Our Good Health is Good Business 8-week challenge wrapped up in June. The Tri-City Regional Chamber has been coordinating this challenge since 2012. One of our founders, John Kirk, is here, as a matter of fact. The program was developed to provide employers, both large and small, an employee wellness program that they might not otherwise have the time or the means to coordinate. We had nearly 500 people registered this year for our challenge, signaling that many Tri-Citians are excited to participate in workplace wellness programs. I want to again thank Basin Pacific Insurance and Benefits for being our premier sponsor. You're here. Did I get a woo over there? Appreciate your sponsorship. And we want to just share the winners of that with you, even though it wrapped up in June. We didn't have a luncheon in June. Of the 84 teams that participated, a team from Gold's Gym, the Bee's Knees, took first place. Our team, the Giza Gold Diggers Convino, took second place, and a team from Lord's Health, team Pretty Tough, took third place. And I know some of them might be here, so you might want to raise your hands or wave at us if you're here. Additionally, we had 79 people participate in the individual challenge. So if you don't have a team, you can do this by yourself. Our first place finisher was DJ Moore. Second place was Jared Starkle, and our third place was Kelly Jurasic. So please help me congratulate all of our winners for our Good Health is Good Business Challenge, and a great work to all of you. So thanks so much. I do want to give a special recognition to, we had 3 organizations that had really high participation within their employees. Lord's Health had 66 people participate, so that was probably about a dozen teams or so. The City of Richland had 49 people participate, and Apollo had 31. And 12 businesses donated prizes for weekly giveaways. And again, we just want to thank you all for your support and look forward to the next Wellness Challenge. Now I'd like to turn the program over to our board chair, Khurshid Sharifov. He's finishing. Khurshid, did I get you right in the middle of a bite? We're going to stretch this out. Now I'd like, so he's going to take us through the rest of the program. Please help me welcome Khurshid.
Thank you, Lori. Appreciate that. And thank you to all the new members who joined the Chamber today. So now it's time for our program. As Lori said, today we are pleased to welcome Secretary of State of Washington, Kim Wyman. Secretary Wyman was elected in 2012 and is serving her second term. She's the second female Secretary of the State in Washington's history. Secretary Wyman's responsibilities include overseeing elections, corporations, charity filings, and Washington State Library, the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library, the Washington State Archives, and a number of special programs. Kim and her husband, John, came to Washington when he was assigned to the 2nd Ranger Battalion at Fort Lewis after being stationed in Ansbach, Germany. They reside in Thurston County with their 2 children. Please help me welcome to the State Secretary of State, Kim Wyman.
Well, good afternoon. Oh, come on. You guys are business people. Your whole job is about relationship building. Okay, let's try that again. Good afternoon. Okay, not bad. Not the best I've seen, but not the worst. So you're doing good. I know you're all eating, so it's not fair. So thank you so much for the invitation to be here today. I feel very honored, and it is really warming my heart to see such an active Chamber of Commerce and so many business people in one region of our state that obviously is just knocking it out of the park. So congratulations to all of you for having such a thriving business community and making Tri-Cities what it is. I love coming over here, I can't lie. Although I have to tell you, my husband and I follow MotoGP, which is, like we were talking at the table, it's the equivalent of Formula One racing to auto racing. MotoGP motorcycles are like the sport bikes, you know, the silly kids that go too fast, but it's awesome. And I would get on a bike on a track and go 100 miles an hour. You couldn't pay me to get in one of those boats. I'm kind of having PTS just watching I can't watch it. Hydro racing is really nerve-wracking for me. So I'm really happy that you guys are going to have a great time this weekend. I probably won't watch it on TV, though, because it'll stress me out too much. But today I was invited to come and talk a little bit about my office and talk about our corporations and charities division, which I have a feeling many of you are my customers, and give you some updates of what we've been doing to try to make your lives easier and easier to do business in our state. But since I was invited a few months ago, there's been a lot of discussion about elections and all the way to the Oval Office, and we've been kind of front and center in the news. So I thought I'd talk a little bit and pivot a little bit and talk about, cybersecurity and Russian hacking, and, no big deal. And then I'll take questions. So let me start by talking a little bit about the Secretary of State's office, because I imagine many of you sitting in the audience right now are very polite, and you pretend like you know what we do, but besides corporations and charities, you probably have no idea what our office does. So I have a very eclectic office in that we have 4 main parts of state government that rest in my office that don't have a lot to do with each other. The most high profile and probably the most front and center is elections, and I'll come back to that at the end. Second is corporations and charities. So how many of you are my customer? How many of you deal with the corporations? Oh, that warms my heart too. The third area is library, the state library, and as you heard, Talking Book and Braille Library rests in my office, and I have a couple local librarians in the house today. Shout out. I know, it's a good thing. And the state archives. So between the library and the state archives, our state's history rests in my office, and we're responsible for it, and we're really proud of it, even though for some people that might be a little like, oh, wow, history is, that's great. I remember that in high school, and I didn't like it then very much. But we also do some services that are kind of off the radar. If you followed the news about a month ago in Aberdeen, there was a horrible fire in their armory, which housed their local historic collection. So Kurt Cobain's artifacts from his home, in fact, were in that. And it went up in flames, and this thing, it gutted the whole building. But the actual archival documents were in the basement, and while they received a lot of water damage and smoke damage, they didn't burn up. And so my staff connected with the Aberdeen Historical Society and worked magic, and just worked very hard to restore those artifacts, and I'm pretty sure we didn't lose very many of them. And so it's a little-known part of the Secretary of State's office, but it's a really important part. So those are the 4 parts that are probably the most high profile. And then we have some special programs like Legacy Washington, where we try to take the history of our state and make it interesting and tell stories and write books and connect all of you to our state's history. In fact, our next exhibit that's coming out in August is going to be 1968. And it was a really pivotal year in American history, but Washington state history, it was just off the chart, some of the things that happened here in our state. So that'll be rolling out as an exhibit in our office, but also it'll have a lot of materials for K through 12 teaching and try to connect kids to our state's history. And then the other program that I'm really proud of that is very small and little known, but really important, is our address confidentiality program. And what this does is it protects the addresses, the physical addresses of survivors of domestic violence and stalking. And it started about 26, 27 years ago, because what they found is perpetrators would find their victims by public records requests. They'd call the phone company or they'd call the gas company and say, hey, is Kim Wyman a customer of yours? What's her address? And because it's a public record, they'd have to give it up. And so this program was started to give a post office box to those survivors, and all of their mail comes to us, and then we disseminate it to their actual physical address. We also protect, with the help of the county auditors, we protect their voter registration and marriage licenses and certificates, because that was the other way that they were found. And we have over 4,000 participants statewide in that program. They come to us through organizations that deal with them as clients. And the really disturbing part and statistic is half of those participants are children. So really important work. We're really proud of it, and we take it really seriously because we have their lives in our hands. So I'm proud to tell you that the program has been very successful over that time. Only one person in the time since it came up in the early 90s has been found, and it had more to do with them not following the parameters of the program than it did the program itself. So anyway, but what I thought I'd start today is talk a little bit about what we're doing in corporations with a new system that's designed to make your lives much easier, and give you a little bit of background about what our office does. So the Corporations and Charities Division of the Secretary of State's office is responsible for filing new companies and new charities or nonprofit organizations, and then also doing the annual report filings. And I can only imagine, because my husband is the HR director for a company in Fife, how frustrating it can be to work with state government as a business owner. Okay, none of you feel that way, right? Yeah, I know how it is. So I want to just start with saying, the purpose of why you file with our office is really to give consumers and give all of you information about organizations or businesses you want to do business with. People you want to give money to as a nonprofit or a charity, or a business you may want to find out more about because you want to maybe partner with them. You can go to our site and get information that's public. And so the information that you have to file in your annual report, for example, is really designed to give that public access so that if you think about some of the other areas of state government that you have to file with, Department of Licensing or Department of Revenue, a lot of the information that you give to them is not public information and can't be shared. And the information you give to us is so that people can make good business decisions. We also register foreign businesses, and this would just be any out-of-state business. And so we have charities and commercial entities that work in our state. If they solicit donations in any way, they have to register with our office. And to give you perspective of the volume that we deal with, we have over 550,000 registered entities. Of those, more than 55,000 are Washington nonprofit corporations, and 16,000 are registered charities in our system. And again, kind of the most important thing about that as consumers is this is a place where you can go and kind of make sure and do a double check that somebody you're thinking about giving money to at the grocery store or somebody that solicits you over the phone, you can actually take some time and get some information about that organization to make sure they're legitimate. So some of you may have heard me talk a couple years ago when I was first running for this office, and I talked a lot about trying to make it easier to do business in Washington, because I really do believe that a thriving business economy in a community makes a difference. And the easier we can make your job, the more time you have to spend on making your business grow and get better. And so one of the areas that I started working on was to try to update our system. Our system was very manual, and any of you who have worked with the Secretary of State know that if you did your annual report or you had to re-register, it might have taken you days or weeks to get your information back if you were a new company registering, for example. So we wanted to try to compress that time down and make it much easier. In fact, make it so you didn't even have to come to our office at all. Many of our customers, when I first took office, had to drive to Olympia to do business with us. And so we've been in the process over the last 4 years of really trying to upgrade our computer system. And any of you who have ever followed a state implementation of a computer system know that they don't always go well. And I didn't want to be one of those. So we really took our time, spent a lot of time talking to many of you across the state to find out what your needs were and what you really wanted in a system. And out of that, we created a system called, let me make sure I get it right, the Corporations and Charities Filing System, or CCFS, because we're all about acronyms in state government, I have found out. So we did a soft launch of this back in November for a couple reasons. One, again, I didn't want to be that state agency or office that was front page news. And we started letting people go on the system and use it. And it's rocking our world, and hopefully it's rocking yours as well. We not only allow you to file online and do things that are real-time filing. You file and you're actually live and up in the system. You can also now do searches of all of the documents that we have and get them in real time and get them immediately and not have to contact our office to have us send you something. And let's see, we also have a self-service option for managing multiple accounts. But I think probably the thing I would really recommend to you is that, and this one is really important if you're not aware of it, you can sign up for our email subscription service. And what that does for you as business owners, and is probably the most important thing that you could have, any change to your record that happens, you're going to be notified. And as we know in the online world and cyber attacks and all those things, that we do see sometimes there's some fraudulent activity where people have figured out how to get into your records and maybe change the board of directors or change something in your records. Now you'll be notified if there's any change that's made. And that's just another kind of trying to give you another tool in your toolbox to prevent fraud and have somebody mess with your documents. So I highly recommend that. One of the things that was a huge battle in the last legislative session, and since there's cameras in the room, I'll temper my remarks, but for those of you who file your annual report, the Department of Revenue for since I've been in office, probably the last 15 years or so before I got here, we're actually processing your annual reports. But everything that you got as a consumer looked like it came from my office, which I thought was kind of problematic because their approach to customer service is different than mine. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And so with our new system, what we started to realize is we could actually take that process back and we could do it and not charge you the $11. Now, $11 to a corporation, let's face it, that's, as they say in Olympia, budget dust, which is a term I hate, by the way. And so we started to move forward with it, and we let revenue know, and we let all of the stakeholders know that we were going to stop collecting the $11 fee in the beginning of 2018. This did not go over well, but I'm happy to tell you that by not collecting that $11 fee, we're returning $5 million back to the business community to let you decide what should happen with that money instead of us. So I'm kind of happy about that. It wasn't very fun in Olympia, though. I'll just say that. It was not fun. But since we've launched our system, over 130,000 accounts have been created as user accounts, and currently 84% of our filings are now done online. And this is just a soft launch. We haven't really publicized it too much, and we're getting great return. And 82% of those filings are successfully filed without you having to deal with anyone in my office. So the system so far is working well, and we're happy about it. Our goal is to have about 90% of those filings to be done online and make it easier for you. And so far, although today we'll do the first test, so far the only negative complaint I've had about the system is that we don't accept checks. I have one good friend who manages a lot of different properties, and he wants to use checks. I didn't even know we still did that. But anyway. Another part of the Corporations and Charities division is the education that we try to do for nonprofits and charities. One of the things that we really started realizing in the last, really 4 or 5 years is with things like Sarbanes-Oxley that were implemented, after the crash of some of the companies like Enron. A lot of that regulation, that onerous regulation on nonprofits is very overwhelming because many times they're small, they have volunteer boards, they don't know about the regulations. So we started doing training by partnering with the Washington nonprofits to provide basic training from board governance to financial literacy to just helping them be good corporate stewards and also helping them to understand the responsibility that they have when they sit on a board. Many of you who probably is this room, I imagine many of you sit on boards of directors of various nonprofits. You realize that you have personal liability in the decisions that are being made on those boards. That's a game changer. And so we're trying to get those kinds of, that kind of information out and of course, help with compliance with state regulations. So we also do donor outreach and education about how to give wisely. Right now we're partnering with the FTC and the Attorney General's office because the FTC has found that there are a number of veterans organizations that are operating across the country that really don't give the money to veterans, but they collect a lot of it. And that, so we're trying to do an education campaign to let you know as consumers that every for-profit or nonprofit organization that operates in our state has to register with my office. And you can actually find out what percentage of every dollar goes to the service. And some of them are appalling. We do have some where it's 96, 97% is overhead. And of your dollar, 3 cents goes to the service. So I really encourage you, before you give people money, to check out that information on our website so you can make informed decisions. And, okay. So I think I've got all the stuff on charities and nonprofits. Oh, wait, one more page. Oh, the last area I'll kind of get on your radar is trademarks. So in Washington State, you as a business, if you want to do a trademark, you can do that through our office, and it kind of goes parallel to the federal trademarking. We have about 6,000 active trademarks right now in Washington State. And interestingly, the laws related to trademarks haven't been updated since 1989. So we're going to be working on that and just kind of doing a gut check to make sure it still makes sense. And we'll be working with some stakeholder groups from around the state. If you have an interest in that, please contact me or my office, and we'd love to engage you with that. And an example of some of the things we'd like to clean up is right now, if you want to submit a trademark, you have to give us 3 samples of, let me get this right, 3 samples of merchandise with a proposed trademark on it. Okay, that seems silly. So we're going to try to reduce that to 1 and make it more streamlined. So that's some of the work that we're doing, and I hope that we're doing a good job of meeting your needs, and if we're not, please let me know. Okay, so, and I have no idea, how are we doing on time? Okay. So now let me shift gears to elections, because certainly my world has been catapulted front and center nationally to the, I think, the consciousness of every voter and every citizen in the country. Elections since 2016 have been scrutinized, and people are paying more attention to them. And one of the main things is cybersecurity. So if you remember back in the middle of 2016, I certainly do, we in my office started seeing activity on our servers related to our election system. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about voter registration, which is all of your records. So your names, addresses that we use to get you the right ballot on Election Day. And we've had this system now since 2006 in Washington State. And that's separate from the tabulation system, and I'll come back to tabulation in a minute. But the nice thing about us having that system up for as long as we have, and having things like election night reporting, we've been really dealing with cybersecurity issues for 15 to 20 years. So while to many of you some of this might be new, we've been aware from the moment we went online that we had to protect all of this information at a level that was higher than probably most of us have in our homes and our daily lives, or even our businesses. So in 2016, because we'd had the system up for about 10 years, we knew what normal activity looks like, and we are monitoring it constantly. We started seeing activity that wasn't normal. And we blocked a few IP addresses, and were concerned, thought that they might be foreign actors. We contacted the FBI and started working with Homeland Security. And about the same time as this was happening in our state, the President Obama, declared elections as critical infrastructure. And I've learned a lot about the designation of critical infrastructure in the last 2 years. Basically what it does is it puts elections and all of the systems involved across the country on the same level as the power grid or a water system, in terms of it's a national security issue. And if you really take a step back and think about it, it is. At a foundational level, if you all lose confidence in what I do and what my colleagues around the state and around the country do, democracy suffers. And so this all started happening, and I was one of the secretaries of state that was a little nervous, to be honest with you, because while I really wanted the resources that Homeland Security could bring to our state, from monitoring to giving us updates of what they were seeing around the country and that type of thing, testing of our system. The strength of American elections is the fact that we have a very decentralized system. So there's no one person who gets to count all the votes. And that's a good thing. We have 7,000 people across the country like me who are either at the state level, local level, all the way down to cities and townships. That's a good, healthy thing. It can be frustrating at times because, mistakes do happen and they make front page news. But at the end of the day, that's a strength. And I was afraid that if you start opening the door to critical infrastructure that, Congress or the feds might start thinking they should run elections. And we don't want that. So cautiously, we move forward, and we started partnering with Homeland Security. President Trump also did the critical infrastructure designation. So we've been moving forward over the last 2 years, working in partnership with Homeland Security. And I like to refer to it as an arranged marriage. It's been a little rocky. The first part was a little rocky, but it's been very good. And I think now our communication channels are much better, and we are learning an infinite amount of information, not only about what's happening across the country, but we're able now to have sensors in our system that will help detect activity that's inappropriate or suspect, and have that connectivity to all those entities across the country, which again is going to help strengthen our system. So basically, as we moved forward, my favorite part of 2017 was, and this was like a week after I got back to work. Let me side note here, because some of you might know, last year I had a little battle with cancer. Okay, I had a big battle with cancer, and I'm doing good. Everything's good. Clean scan about a month ago, so life is good. Thank you. But I was out of the office for about 3 months, and about a week after I got back from all of that, the assistant director to Homeland Security, deputy director, maybe was her title, Jeanette Monfort, was on national news because she was being interviewed by a congressional committee. And one of the members of Congress point blank asked her, did the Russians hack our system? To which she answered, yes, 21 states were hacked. To which we all went, what? Oh, that's the first time we had heard it. This was in June of 2017. So, of course, naturally, all 50 of us said, okay, which states? Then my favorite federal response of all time, we can't tell you. What? We can't tell you because it's classified. Okay, that's awesome. And so from June until September, we started having, this was the rocky part of the marriage, we started having conversations because what became very apparent to us early on is their world is about classifying material, and it needs to be. And our world is about transparency, because it needs to be. I need to instill confidence in every one of you in this room, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, that you had access to registering and voting, that your ballot was secure, it was counted accurately, and the results reflect that. And if I don't do that, I'm not doing my job. So we did this wonderful dance for about 3 months, and they finally realized they needed to release the 21 states' names. So again, this was my favorite part of last year. They called us on Thursday in October to let us know they were going to call us on Friday to let us know which states there were. And this was a conference call with 50 secretaries of states on it. Okay, so we're politely saying, that's awesome and stuff. Why don't you just tell us now? No, we can't do that. Okay. So our suggestion was, why don't you then create a press release listing the 21 states? No, we can't do that. Okay, you do understand that from when the first call's made, there will be an AP reporter calling every state, and by the time you finish the 21st call, they will know. Oh, that won't happen. Okay. Kind of like teenagers. Okay, you're right. Don't listen to us. Please go. So that's exactly what happened. And Washington, unfortunately, was one of the 21 states, so you might have heard that. I'm here to tell you the good news, and this is actually a success story. Of those 21 states were attempts that were made into our voter registration systems. Only 2 did get access into them. Washington's firewalls and system held. Now, I'm not saying that to brag, and I'm not saying that to say that we're perfect all the time and we're impenetrable, because any one of you, and I'm pretty sure it's everyone in this room that's online, is exactly in the same boat as we are. They are trying to get to your information 24/7, 365. They have to get it right once. We have to get it right 100% of the time. And the odds are stacked in their favor. It's what I've learned over the last 2 years to a level I didn't expect. But the good news is that out of all of these discussions and this frustration, my colleagues and I asked Congress to free up money that was left over from the Help America Vote Act. And that happened, surprisingly, in the span of about 3-4 weeks. I've never seen Congress move this fast. And it was about $380 million that was distributed to all of the states. We received $8 million here in Washington State. And what we're using that money to do, and it dovetails really nicely with a project I'll tell you about in a second, is we're just beefing up our firewalls and our system security. Because that's just a no-brainer. You can always do that. 2, we're building our IT team up a little bit because we're bringing up a new voter registration system with the county auditors across the state. All 39 counties will be connected to the system and use it on a daily basis. So we're already thinking about the security issues related to that. This money will help us to reinforce it even more. And more importantly, we can now go and do some training and help counties understand what they're facing. And if you think about what we face in our office, I have a county that has over 1 million registered voters in it, King County. I have a couple counties in eastern Washington that have 1,500. You know, the capability of Columbia County is very different than the capability of King County, just by resources, if nothing else. So what we want to try to do with that money is level that playing field so that Columbia County or Asotin County has the same, confidence that King does. And so that's a piece of it, and training and awareness is a part of it. We'll also be going out and doing testing of their systems. We won't, but we're partnering with people like Homeland Security. The State Auditor's Office is helping us with some of that. And then our most recent partnership is with the Washington National Guard, which, again, you have to be careful with because no one wants the military to be doing elections. But if you think about it, because we're home to Microsoft and Amazon and Google, we have a lot of great techs in business who happen to be members of the National Guard. So our state, you probably didn't know this because I didn't know it until a couple of weeks ago, our state has the top cybersecurity team in the country in terms of National Guard. And we already partner with them because we've been working on continuity of operations plans for about 3-4 years now. And they're obviously a great resource because they have things like generators and tents and things you could use in a flood or an earthquake or an emergency on Election Day. So this dovetails nicely with that, and they're going to help us with some of the testing of our system and of some of the county systems and give us feedback of what we can do to make them better. So I could go on, but hopefully I've made you feel better. And the challenge, of course, with cybersecurity stuff is it's a lot like Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. And cybersecurity is no different because the more information you share, that just gives the hackers more things to know what your system is about. So anyway, let's see. I have no idea what I'm doing on time. Am I good? 5 minutes. And that with questions or questions after? With questions. Okay. Keep going? Okay. So the last note I'll end on is, as you know, we have a primary election coming up in August, just a couple weeks away. If you look around the room, there's a couple people that are kind of doing this. They're candidates, just in case you're wondering. And it's close to primary election day, so that's why they are acting that way. For this election, we're doing this election and the general election statewide. We are doing a pilot, if you will. Every single one of you will have access. You should have received your ballots by now, but you will have access to return prepaid postage. I could do a whole 30-minute thing on that. We'll just leave that there. The important notes there is that drop boxes are free, and they are open until 8 p.m. on Election Day. If you choose to use a stamp or use no, you're not going to use a stamp. If you choose to use the prepaid ballot return envelope that your county election office sent you, make sure you get a postmark before Election Day or on Election Day. And I say that because in the modern era, I don't think people realize that blue mailboxes or even your post office now may close before or have the last pickup before 8 o'clock on election night. So just because you put it in the blue box on Election Day doesn't mean it's going to get that day's postmark. So make sure you check the pickup time, or if you're at the post office, check and see when it closes. So the last thing I'll say is we have, right now, my office is checking the petitions of 3 initiatives. And if you're not I should have mentioned that when I talked about my election oversight in Washington State. One part of our office is the election initiative and referendum process. And so that goes through my office, and we have one initiative in particular. Well, we have two, now I think about it, two initiatives that are a little controversial that look like they'll be on the ballot. One is a gun... I want to use the right term. It's to put more restrictions on gun ownership. And so some of you may have kind of been following this. It's $13.95, pretty sure, $16.95, excuse me. And so just for the record, since I heard from a lot of folks over here in Tri-Cities, my responsibility is that when any of you want to do an initiative, you file an initiative with our office for $5, and then we work with you to create a ballot title, and the AG creates that, and then there are parameters as a petition gatherer that you have to put on the petition. You have to put the full text of the measure, for example, on the back of the ballot, so you as voters can read it and know what you're signing. And then the front has things that it has to have on it too, like an oath that says that this contains the full, true, correct, ballot measure and all. And then how many signature lines you can have on it and everything. I say all of this because this petition has been one of the most controversial ones I've had since I've been Secretary of State. And before they turned in the petition signatures, we had two lawsuits by the Second Amendment Foundation. The court kicked both of them back, which is very typical. The court doesn't like to weigh in on initiatives until all of you get a chance to vote on them or sign petitions, because constitutionality always happens on the back end. Court doesn't weigh in until it's actually been passed. So, but what happened is we got a copy of the initiative petition, and it had really small font on the back, literally 6-point font. And if you've ever seen a bill or a bill that's being proposed, if you're going to take out language, you strike through it. And if you're going to add language to existing law, you underline it. And that's just standard. We see it in every initiative I've ever seen has this type of presentation. This one didn't. So we started meeting with our attorneys, and interestingly, it's weird when you read the law, it does actually enlighten you. And I tend to be one that thinks my job is to follow the law. And so the law is very specific about these petitions and what they need to look like. And we didn't think it met that section of the statute. It's section 29A 72-100. And then interestingly, when we looked at the section that actually gives me as Secretary of State the authority to reject those petitions, it exempted that part of the law. I can reject it if they didn't include the oath. I can reject it if they don't have enough signatures. And I can reject it if they don't get it turned in on time. Anything else, I have to accept it. So it was fun times in my office. We had an inundation of email, and they were really nice and warm. So much fun. Made me feel good. Phone calls, yeah. But, we stayed the course, and I will be honest with you, I had pressure. I had a lot of pressure put on me by a lot of folks. Rejected anyway. It's like, well, yeah, see, I took an oath of office to uphold the law, so I can't. So where it is right now, they are literally checking the petitions right now of 3 initiatives that were submitted to our office. I anticipate that one will probably be finished by the end of this week. I anticipate we will be served with another lawsuit, and we'll go from there. But we're going to follow the law. I do have concerns. My biggest concern is the precedence that this process sets, because my job, as I see it, is to not only force the law and interpret the law, but protect the process. So each one of you has a constitutionally protected right to initiative and referendum. If you have a great idea, you have the same standing that any legislator in Olympia has to create a law. And that's initiative or referendum. And my job is to protect that, to protect your access to it, and to protect that system. And my concern is that if we let this one in, what are we going to see in future petitions? Are you going to be facing a 4-point font, 8.5 by 11 sheet when you're trying to sign a petition? And so we're working with our attorneys to make sure we're protecting your rights too. Okay, so enough about that thing. I think we have a little time. Love to open it up to questions. Everybody's afraid. And I think we have microphones.
I'm coming.
So, a question for you. We had a little quiz on how many registered voters there are in Washington State. Out of those, how many vote in kind of different types of elections, and how does that compare to other states?
So we have just over 4.2 million registered voters out of the 7 million residents that we have here in Washington State, and it varies. So in this pattern, I've been in elections since 1993, so 25 years. I was 10 when I started. Anyway, bad old joke. But old's bad too. So anyway, the cycle is a 4-year cycle. Always the highest is presidential years. So ironically, most of you, not you, I know you're all perfect voters, but most people only vote once every 4 years. And that's why you have that peak in a November presidential election. That's the highest turnout in the cycle. The next highest would be this election cycle, midterm elections, even year non-presidential elections. So in presidential, we see in our state anywhere usually from high 70s to high 80s. Mid-80s, I'm being generous there. And we lead the country. We're always in the top 10. It's hard to compete with some of the other states because their laws are a little bit different. But overall, we do really well. And vote by mail is part of that, but I think also it's culture in the state. The lowest turnout elections are those odd year, particularly post-presidential. Primary is the lowest every year. That's always post-presidential primary election. You'll see just horrible turnout. 20%, 25%. And I think this last time it was below 20% in some places. Eastern Washington, you all tend to vote more. Good job. Appreciate that. I've heard many people for many years try to point to why. And we've spent a lot of time in our state and across the country removing barriers and doing things to make it easier and all. And oddly, it hasn't changed. Those patterns haven't changed that much. We tend to, we tend to be on the front end of that, but I'm not sure. And I'm to the point now where I think it's my job is about voter education, getting the information out. Turnout's great. Every ed board I sit in front of, they always ask, how I'm going to increase it. And that's certainly what politically, when I've been on the ballot, that's been the focus. But at some point, I think government's job is to give you the information and let you make informed decisions and vote and make sure that we're balancing access and security.
My question is sort of two parts. The first is, how do you clean up the voter rolls? And the reason I'm asking this is I've got 3 daughters who are now married and have moved out of state, and we still keep getting ballots for them.
Well, you need to let me know that, and I'll take care of that.
And then the second question is, how do you proof the ballots that come in? Because we throw these 3 ballots away every time, but I got to imagine there's people out there who maybe are filling in those extra ballots they receive, and I'm wondering how you check on that.
Yes, well, we do both. So list maintenance is what we call it in my world, is an ongoing thing. And one of the upsides of vote by mail is once a year, at a minimum, every single registered voter in this state receives a ballot at their home. And any of those that come back to us because they've done an address change or the post office has information that they don't live there any longer, we can update their information accordingly. Your 3 daughters, I'd have to look and see why they're still registered. There's a whole lot of reasons why. Now, I will tell you that we don't want to cancel people erroneously, but we certainly don't want to have dead wood on the rolls either. My guess is none of your daughters have registered in another state. Because if they have, the state's supposed to notify us by federal law to let us know so we can take them off the rolls. And we have a lot of processes we have to follow to do that. But we're also partners. So we do a lot of maintenance at the county level to try to keep those rolls up to date. But beyond that, we're part of an organization called ERIC, the Electronic Registration Information Center. And this was a project that I got to work on for the last 10 years. We now have 22 states that are participating, and one is the District of Columbia. And what we're doing is it's an information sharing system. So your data is put into this system. It's one-way hashed. It's anonymized. So what's sent is your information, but they can't see it. And the computer is data matching, much like what private industry has done for the last 30 years. We use the model that you all use to do business. And that data is compared, and then that information goes back to the states so we can update it. So if someone has changed their Department of Licensing, they've changed their address they've moved to Colorado, we will get that information from Colorado, and then we'll be able to follow up with the voter and remove them. I could bore you with a lot of details, but that at the high level, we're trying to keep them as clean as we can. But did you realize that 10% of our state, and this is true across the country, moves every year? 1 in 10 voters moves every year. And it's weird, they don't always think to tell us. Rude. Anyway, and then in terms of the security on the back end, so that's the outgoing. And then the other thing is you could just put a note to your county auditor that they don't live here any longer, and they will be removed. Again, what the county auditor would do is try to send to every known address for your daughters and get the updated information. But remember, and I don't know what your daughter's situations are, that just because you don't live in our state doesn't mean you can't vote in our state. If you are in the military, if you are a military service member's spouse or dependent, if you are on business and you're working out of state or out of country, but you consider Washington your residence, you still have a right to vote here. Even if you're going to be gone for 5 years, if you're a student, 10 years, if you consider this home, now you can only pick one. You don't get to vote in each state you live in. You can only vote once, but you can pick Washington. So your daughters, it probably doesn't sound like that's the case, but there are reasons why people could live out of state and still have the right to vote. My daughter, who I'll brag for a second, is a Marine Corps JAG officer in Yuma, Arizona. No Marines. Wow. Yeah, all the Army and Air Force guys are like, yeah, whatever, Marines. We're not going to even do it. So she is out of state, but she's still voting in Washington State. Probably to vote for me, but whatever. She considers this her primary residence. So. And then how do we check? So when the ballots come back, you all are familiar with the envelope that you have, and it has an oath, and you attest to that oath, you sign it and date it, and you send it back to your county auditor's office. Now, until you've actually come to our offices and seen this, most people don't know or believe this, but they check every return signature against your signature on file. Every one in every county, and you can't count those ballots until it's verified. If it doesn't match for some reason, if it's a little off or it's changed, we will contact you, they will contact you, and give you an opportunity to cure that signature and update it. And that does two things. One, it helps people whose signatures have changed over time. And more importantly, it's allowing you as a voter to know that somebody has returned a ballot to you. Because I guarantee you, if your county auditor sends you a ballot that says, hey, your signature doesn't match and you haven't voted, you're going to be on the phone right away. So that's another one of the security checks that we have. It's kind of unknown, but that's one of the reasons we do it. Once that signature matches, the county gives, the election official gives your voter record credit. We call it giving it credit. Because you could return more than one ballot to us. Mechanically you could. But we have safeguards in place to make sure we only count one. And there's a number of reasons why people might return more than one. And when we think they're doing it to, perpetrate fraud, we actually follow up with the prosecuting attorney and the sheriff and things like that. But and then once that's cleared all those things, then it's processed and tabulated. Does that answer your question? Does that make you feel better? Okay. Other questions? See, now I've scared you all off, huh? All right. Oh, I'm getting the hook. That's what it is. Oh, wait. Up to you. I have one more question. Okay, one more. Okay. Yes. Okay, this is usually a 20-minute presentation. I'm going to give you the speed version. The question was the Dino Rossi Gregoire recount and how Rossi won twice and then lost in court. What I will say, the speed format is that back in 2004, we had 39 separate voter registration lists. Now we have one. And a lot of the problems that surfaced out of that recount were a result of that. So the counties couldn't talk to each other. You could be registered in multiple counties. You'd get ballots in multiple counties, and you could vote them on multiple counties, and it would all appear legal. A lot of things happen in there. There's a lot to this day that people believe there was fraudulent activity in King County. What I can tell you is the things that I saw. I was a county auditor in Thurston County at the time, so I'm Brenda Chilton or Matt Beaton's counterpart. And were mistakes made? Absolutely. Was it voter fraud? Hard to say. I'll give you one quick one, 30 seconds. You hear a lot about, they found trays of ballots, and that happened in 4 or 5 counties. King County was the most notable. And I've heard many, many people be frustrated. They just manufactured and they counted them. That's not what happened. So I want you to picture this for a second. Our world are mail trays. So you have about 350 to 400 returned ballot envelopes in a given tray. And in a warehouse, you have those, and people are moving them all the time. And so the first person puts the mail tray down on the table in the corner, and then another person comes by with 10 empty trays and puts it on top of that. This is what happened. No one knows that there's those ballots sitting there until Election Day, and it comes and goes, and in some cases certification comes and goes. They're cleaning up, and they go to move them, and it's like, oh my God. So now my question to you to think about is that every single one of those envelopes, the voter voted once, they were eligible, their signature matched. In fact, the voter did every single thing right, but because somebody made a mistake, their ballot wasn't counted. And I want you to picture that one of those ballots is yours. How many of you believe we shouldn't have counted them? That's what we were faced with. But that was in a very politically charged environment. This is nice and sane, and we can talk about it. There, the stakes were high, and no one was operating logically. Everybody was emotional. So what I can tell you is we've made a lot of progress since then. King County, back then, probably the biggest problem with King County, there were a lot, but one, they didn't have an election official. They do now. The other one was there was sort of a close enough is good enough attitude. Now they employ Six Sigma. Now they employ Lean. Now they account for every single ballot that's returned. They can tell you when it arrived, who touched it, from the moment it was accepted to the moment that certified and put in a box. So that's a huge step forward for our state, and that's true of every county in the state. So we've made a lot of progress, and 2004 was a tough election. I kind of have PTS from that, too. Anyway, thank you so much for let me be here. Thank you. Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Secretary Wyman, for being here with us and speaking to us and sharing some of the insights from your office. That's great. Thank you again to i3 Global for sponsoring today's luncheon, Basin Pacific Insurance and Benefits for sponsoring our very successful Good Health is Good Business Challenge, the wonderful staff of the Red Line Hotel and Conference Center in Pasco for hosting us today. And a sincere thank you to all of you for coming out to the luncheon today. Our next luncheon, Congressional Update with Congressman Dan Newhouse, is Wednesday, August 22nd, here at the Red Lion. Congressman Newhouse will provide us with a legislative update from Washington, D.C., as well as discuss key federal issues that impact Central Washington and the Tri-Cities. He's also planning to take some questions from the audience. And you actually have an opportunity to ask those questions today using the Slido app again. So if you can open up the browser and go to Slido, same code, TCRCC, and then you can type in your question there. You can even ask it anonymously if you like to do that. And we'll compile those and give them to Senator when he's here. And we'll look forward to seeing our next very informative and fun event. Today's meeting will be broadcast on Pasco City Television and Richland CityView, channels 191 and 192 respectively, on Charter Cable in Pasco and Richland. The meeting will also be streamed via YouTube on both cities' YouTube channels, so you can rerun them there. And thank you again for all coming today to luncheon. Enjoy the rest of the day.
I am present.
Mayor Pro Tem Christensen. Present. And Council Members Alvarez.
Present.
Lumley. Lexon.
Present.
And Anderson.
Present. So if I have a motion to excuse Council Member Sandra Kent.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ms. Kent is hereby allowed to be excused here on Election Day in the state of Washington. So we got a special pleasure. I'd like to have Cub Scout Pack number 1 come forward. Come on up, guys. I'll join you up here. They told me they have this wired, by the way. I don't know if they do or not. So it's my pleasure to have you guys introduce us into the, first off, what's your name?
Hope.
Hope, how are you?
Good.
Good, and who's this?
Eva.
Nice meeting you, Eva.
I'm Bella.
I'm Bella.
My name's Rachel.
My name is Seth.
Great. So these guys are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. You guys ready? Okay, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Appreciate it. Never get that deer in the headlights look myself. Council, the next item we have on our agenda is the approval of this evening's agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is hereby approved. Which leads us on to presentations this evening. And the first one we have is a proclamation of appreciation to Alan Haggerty for services on the Board of Adjustment. Alan, are you present?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Do you know Alan?
No, I don't.
Well, then I don't either.
Well, I've seen perfect thing of that.
There you go.
It was there.
I should have just stayed there, shouldn't I, Alan?
You were in my usual
Are you hang up to that? Okay. So this is my pleasure. Whereas Mr. Alan Haggerty was first appointed to the Board of Adjustment on March 6, 2012, and served over 6 years until September 6, 2018. And whereas Mr. Haggerty faithfully dedicated his time, knowledge, and talents for the benefits of the citizens of Richland. And whereas during his tenure on the Board of Adjustment, Mr. Haggerty worked diligently to ensure proper development within the city through equitable application of the Richland Municipal Code to discrete project applications. And whereas Mr. Haggerty faithfully assisted staff in processing numerous variance requests on a timely and cost-effective manner. Now, therefore, I, Robert J. Thompson, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Richland, do hereby express publicly and formally to Alan Haggerty the city's appreciation for the services Mr. Haggerty rendered during his tenure as a member of the Board of Adjustment. In witness thereof, I hereby give my hand this day to affix the official seal of Richland, Washington, on the 6th day of November 2018. Alan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alan, why don't you tell us what you actually did? Actually do on the Board of Adjustment. Not everybody has that down.
The Board of Adjustment is kind of a strange organization that if you want to do something with a piece of property, like you want to have a carport that's a little wider than it ought to be, or if you want to make a modification that requires special permission, you come before the Board of Adjustment, and we run a board like this. And we listen to the arguments, pro and con. We get neighbors who might be affected and listen to them, and then we make a decision about whether to approve it or not. Really interesting. I learned more about Robert's Rules of Order than I ever wanted to know, and it was great fun. I urge everybody here to, if you get the chance, this is a great city. I got welcomed here. I came in from the East Coast and welcomed here, and it's our home now. And if you ever get a chance, volunteer. Do something. Doesn't matter what. Just do something. Get on a board or something like that. And for the adults, there are plenty of openings right now. So with that.
Alan, again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead, Phil.
Just for everyone's information, Alan is a retired Navy captain, and he's a brand new author. And he's also a Richland Rotarian.
Which is number one, Phil?
All of
answer
them.
that? Well, you have to try the book. So I get to read another proclamation. And I don't know if there's anybody here to accept this, but this is called the Extra Mile Day. And so I'll be good. Whereas Richland, Washington is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas Richland is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. Whereas Richland is a community which chooses to celebrate and shine a light on individuals and organizations within its community who go that extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community. And whereas Richland acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 575 plus extra mile cities in America, and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 6, 2018. Now, therefore, by my hand and authority as a mayor, I do hereby proclaim November 6th to be the Extra Mile Day in Richland, and encourage each individual to the community to take time on his day, not only go to the extra mile in his or her own life, but also acknowledge all of those who are inspirational in their effort and commitment to make the organizations, families, community, county, a world a better place. As set by my hand hereon, I do hereby acknowledge that this is the Extra Mile Day, Wednesday, actually it's Tuesday, November 6th, November 28th, by me. And so again, this is, I just want to say this is a class example. You got Alan who did this, we got these young people coming here, and what it's all about is making a better community. So again, I want to thank everybody about that. Okay, so it's time for our update on the REACH. Roseanne and et al., if you guys want to come up. Roseanne, there's safety in numbers, okay? So come on up.
Yeah, come on. Bring it all in. Bring in the love. Yeah, it was just my name on the agenda, but I'm certainly going to split my time up with the three gentlemen that represent the trifecta of the REACH Museum. So I think Dan's going to go first.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm here to report that the REACH is alive and well. We've been working real hard this year to build the brand of the REACH, and I think we've made a fair amount of progress. In September, we had over 800 visitors that visited the REACH from the cruise lines. And in May, earlier this year, we had over 1,100 kids that came from various schools that visited the REACH in the month of May. We're working hard to live within the budget. The 9 months ended September. The actual expenses are lower than the budget, so we're holding our own there. We welcomed Miriam Kersner to the board, who you guys just recently appointed, and we're really happy to have her and look forward to working with her. And as president of the PFD board, I especially appreciate being back to full staff. We now have 5 board members, and so if somebody can't be there, then we don't have to move the meetings around as much. Recently, we elected Bill King to be the vice president of the board, so the officers are now in place, and we should be ready to go forward from here. We have a new board member orientation that's set up for next week for the new PFD board member, and there's several new foundation board members that are coming on, and I'm sure Alan or Rosanna will talk about that. There's a strategic plan that's being planned now to take place in January, February, to help us figure out what we want to be when we grow up. The Orange to Black fundraiser. To date, we've received $46,000, and we still have in excess of $50,000 out in letters that we're in the process of following up on. So we should have the follow-up on all that done in November and December. And, of course, this is the time of year where people make their year-end gifts and things. So the timing of this is going to work out good for us. So that's what I had to say. So I'll turn it over to Rosanna. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing us to come and give you an update on the REACH. It's really important, I think, for everybody in the community to know what their community assets are and what they're up to, how we spend our resources, and how we engage with the community. So thank you for the opportunity to give you this update. Our education program is really thriving right now. We've had some remarkable corporate sponsorships answer our call for help, for resources. Among them are the new Spokane Teachers Credit Union. They're sponsoring our REACH quarterly at $2,500 a day. So those quarterly events, that funding allows free admission to all of our communities. So that's one of the barriers that they've removed for our families, our working families, to be able to share their museum and enjoy their museum and welcome others to it, to be very comfortable in that space. Also, our education partnership has grown threefold. We have an immersion program with Marcus Whitman School, and we've been working with their Deputy Superintendent, I believe is his title, to replicate that model in 2 additional elementary schools in the Richland Public School District. Those will be in this coming school year at Jason Lee and Jefferson. And this allows every student to have multiple visits at the museum, as well as do some field trips and also bring our educators into the classroom. The other thing that I want to kind of shout out about is that we've renewed, in the last probably 3 or 4 months, we've renewed and galvanized our relationships with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. They're bringing their team and their resources into the REACH to help with interpretation. We have a program tonight, as a matter of fact, with them. We just left a crowd of 50 individuals learning about the anniversary of river systems in our area. And then on Thursday, one of our educators just let me know that the television is coming down to film our Little Explorers program. They're going to be the audience for a rehabilitation of hawks. So these are our birds of prey that have been rehabilitated, and they're going to release them from the REACH and have the Little Explorers there and do a kind of a photo op. We're also renewing our relationships with the Master Singers next year and the Red Mountain AVA, doing some adult programming. That means sampling the wine. So those and many other things are happening. So it's an exciting time. The reason why I wanted Alan and what's his name? Dan? No. to be here with me is to let people know that we stand strong. The programming, the foundation, which is our 501c3, and the PFD, we are a tripod. And that's where the foundation, our stability, will come is the 3 entities, if you will, the brand of the REACH, supported by the PFD and the foundation. We're here, and we're inviting the City Council to join us in that strategic plan for 2019, so that our vision is invested in, and everybody's at the table. The stakeholders are there helping us do that visioning long term to ensure that the museum is here to be enjoyed for generations to come. So, is that my timer?
We just didn't want to hear from Alan, but go ahead, Alan. Come on. I've got this little button up here. Okay?
At least it's not a hook. Yeah. I'm Alan Brecky, and I'm the past chairman of the REACH Foundation, and I'm the funder of the Manhattan Project exhibit at the REACH, so I'm heavily invested in the institution. It is an institution. And it's taking shape like an institution, finally. We broadened the REACH Foundation board this year. We have new board members, Brittany Kloos, the daughter-in-law of Mike Cluse, who is generation, I think she might be a millennial. I can't keep them all straight. But anyway, we have some young people coming on board, which is good. There's more in the pipeline. Toby Boucher, the retired Windermere Real Estate, everybody probably knows her. Darcy Weisner is a superintendent at ESD 123, educational sector. Steve Weisness, he was a project manager for DOE, and he's helping us with working through the morass of the Manhattan Project National Park stuff that's out on the website. It takes, I don't know what it takes to read that stuff, but anyway, he knows how to do it. And then Bill Dunwoody, he's the practice development manager at Cadillac. So we're broadening the sectors, and we're trying to get some young people involved. There's people in the pipeline to do that. You guys, if you have not seen the lower level, get over there and look at it. It's the best kept secret in the Tri-Cities. There's a lot of excitement about this federal national park coming, and we're going to get our you-know-what together with this strategic plan and see if we want to aggressively build community sport and get a leg of that. The Hanford Collection, which is the Cold War exhibit, move the Manhattan Project exhibit down there and do another exhibit on cleanup, on what these wonderful people are doing to clean up the place. So it's exciting, and I think we're on the right track. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan. We have a question before you run away, right?
Just a comment. I had the opportunity to attend the Screech at the Reach with my children, and we loved it. I thought you guys did a great job. My only complaint was there's so many people there. It was hot, and so I guess that's a good thing. But it was packed. I was really impressed and the Fish and Wildlife people were there, and my son got to do dissect the owl pellets and pet a snake and meet the owls, and so he really enjoyed it. So I was really impressed. Thought you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
And I had the opportunity to bring a couple people from work that had never been there, so it was nice to bring new people in, and so I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys.
We really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Council, the next presentation we have this evening is Allison. Allison, come on forward.
Thank you, Mayor Thompson and Mayor Pro Tem Christensen and council members. I would like to introduce some new hires that we have today. Normally I start with the retirees, but we have no retirees for the month of October. Unusual. They're saving up for November, I think. So we do have several here, I believe. And so if you are here when I call your name, please just stand up and we will say thank you and congratulations. First is Aaron Shepard. Were you able to make it, Aaron? No? Aaron is not here. Aaron is a police officer. He was hired October 8th. My guess is he would be unavailable right now for shift, and we will bring him back the next time around. Martha Inian, and she is a library assistant too. She was not able to be here tonight, I think. Justice Sausalito Scott. Are you here, Justice? There we go. We've got one. And Justice is a Parks and Rec aide, hired in on the 22nd of October. And then the last one, Lori Thrun, I do not think was able to make it, fire logistics technician. And we just hired her the 29th of October. So she's one of our new positions in the fire department.
Thank you.
And that's what we have. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Marcy, I was wondering if you could kind of talk to us about public hearings.
Certainly. The purpose of a public hearing is to give the audience an opportunity to address council members concerning the subject for which the hearing is convened. It is an official on-the-record communication geared towards giving council members information and opinions they may consider in their decision-making process. To provide an orderly process, will audience members who wish to speak please raise your hand to be called on the mayor, come to the lectern, speak into the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and after speaking, write your name and address on the record sheet by the city clerk. To allow every participant an opportunity to be heard, public hearing comments are limited to 3 minutes. For your convenience, a time prompter on the podium will alert you with an amber light when 30 seconds remain. At the end of 3 minutes, a red light will flash and a buzzer will sound. Council requests you do not duplicate comments made by a previous speaker, but merely confirm your agreement. Public comments, where the audience is allowed to speak to agenda items or other topics, follows the same procedure but is limited to 2 minutes. When appropriate, the mayor may refer an item identified during the public comments period to the city manager for further action. Please note that if a speaker intends to give council members records of any kind as part of their presentation, the records must be handed directly to the city clerk for distribution. The purpose of the public hearing tonight is the proposed 2019 budget and 2019 through 2024 capital improvement plan. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, our first item this evening is the budget capital improvement plan. Brandon, you want to come forward?
Jump the gun. All right, good evening, Council. Coming before you today with the budget for the 2019 year. This is one of many times I get to stand in front of you and talk about numbers, so this is my time of year. Last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago, we had the revenues, and then we had town hall, and then this week I've got the entire budget for you. So there were some changes. There always is a few minor changes between Sydney's presentation of the budget and the final budget as we finalize numbers, get better data and that. And so we were always kind of polishing that till the end. Nothing too big. The biggest thing was just a decision on a compactor at landfill to lease rather than replace. And so that is in CIP, not a major change. If you want more information, I'd be happy to give it to you. We'll go ahead and jump right in here. You see the budget, 2019 budget, all appropriations for all funds is just over $265 million. That is a 6.3% decrease from 2018, due primarily to the fact that we had bonds, some large bonds coming in 18 that we don't have in 19. You'll see the same thing on the revenue side. It's down from the prior year. Of those appropriations, approximately 50% of the appropriations are in our utilities. That's a big chunk of our expenditures throughout the year. We have about 20% in the general fund, and then 10% in the internal services, which is our benefits for our self-insured plan. It's our golf equipment reserve, our equipment replacement, and those funds there. And then you can see several other smaller funds that make up the total expenditures for the year. And then looking at them by category for all funds, our largest area of expenditure is personnel. In this case, for the city, it's 32% of our expenditures are on personnel, salaries and benefits and those type of things. And then our supplies, or O&M, is second. And then capital outlay, as far as the capital that we're spending, you'll see there's some debt service and other smaller things in there as well. For the revenues, and I talked in detail about the revenues a couple weeks ago, so I'll kind of skim over this. As I talked before, charges for services is our number one revenue across the entire city, mainly in the utilities, and then taxes, which are particularly in the general fund. Now going to the general fund, of that $265 million, about $54 million of that is general fund. Again, it's a decrease of 8.5% in general fund. One of the bonds was general fund money, and so you'll see that reduction in the general fund. Looking at the appropriations, it's pretty consistent from year to year. You'll see that the big ones are police, support services, fire services, and then several other small ones. Our maintenance on our parks is at 11%. That's how our expenditures divvied out among the general fund. Sorry. Looking at them by major categories, you'll notice that the personnel costs in general fund are 65%. So over half of our expenditures in the general fund are for the people that work every day and those who are introduced today. And you'll see charges for services. There are some in here as well, and the intergovernmental expenditures back and forth between the different governments in the area. It makes the rest of that up. Just a couple of the assumptions and things that went into the budget. As we talked about last time we met, there's not an increase built in for the property taxes. That 1% that we're able to have is again this year being banked. I believe it's our 10th year in a row we're banking that. assessed values, and I'll have a slide for that later, but they jumped quite a bit this year across the board, up to $6.96 billion from $6.19 billion. We try to be conservative with our revenues estimates, but be realistic. So we don't want to. We'd much rather be on the side of getting more than we expected than less than we expected. So we try to be conservative in our revenue estimates as we're doing our budget, but still keep them within a reasonable amount. And then sales tax, we were seeing quite large increases last several years. The last couple of years, it's still growing. Maybe the growth has slowed a little bit, but it's still a very healthy growth in our sales tax, and it helps to give us a little bit broader revenue stream to go with our property taxes and utility taxes. This is a slide that shows you our assessed value. You can see it continues to climb. This year was quite a jump in that, and which also resulted in a lower levy rate to our residents. And then jump into the capital improvement plans for 19. The 19 capital projects plan is $51 million, and this is just I have to maybe speak real quickly. This is a snapshot of a long-term plan. You're seeing the 19 numbers. We plan well out in advance, and this is just one step in the way as we decide what needs to be replaced, looking out, and what our big projects are going to be coming up. We're looking to have 57 projects in the 2019 CIP. You can see the breakout of how they're broken out there across the different areas. I won't go into that too much into detail, but just some notable projects this year. The Dupertail Bridge is on there, Badger Mountain and park improvements. We are continuing to implement our new financial system. We have a projected go-live date of June of 2019 for the financials and October for the HR and the payroll part of that. And this is the backbone of the city as far as it comes to financials and tracking and being able to report, and all the money moves through that financial system. We've been working on that for almost a year already. It's a large project. We have pavement preservation, as we always do, and also with that, the George Washington Way resurfacing and streetscape, Rivers to Ridges Trail, the Badger Mountain section, smart grid and what they call AMI. We're just getting started on that, and hopefully we'll be up and going. I believe I probably shouldn't give a timeline. Clint will get mad at me, but we're starting next year on it. So, and then wayfinding, signage, and gate entrance, and those are some of the big projects you'll see in there this year. And then just to look what's coming the rest of this month, so today you have on item 13 on the agenda is the first reading of the budget to approve the 19 budget. The second reading and passage is items 17 and 18. That's the ad valorem and revenue. Ad valorem taxes and the property taxes that I presented last time, and then in November 20th, next meeting will be the second reading and passage of the budget. And so that's where we're going, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Council, any questions at this point? I'm not saying any. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
It is 7:59. I'm going to open up the public hearing portion of the meeting to anybody who would like to address the budget or the capital improvement plan. Is there anybody in the audience like to address council on these items? If not, I'm going to call it 8 o'clock, close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and I'd open it up to public comments. Again, this is the section of the meeting where you have 2 minutes to address council on either items on the agenda this evening or any reason you'd like to address council at all. Please, sir, come forward.
Good evening. Andrew Ott at 110 Davenport Street. I'm here tonight as the chairperson for Legalize Richland, a citizens' initiative to change the existing city ordinance, which currently prohibits state-licensed cannabis businesses from operating in city limits. Today, this afternoon, we submitted to the clerk's office our petition with the requisite number of signatures per the city charter. We ask that you recognize the voice of your constituents in this matter and dutifully respond to the petition either by accepting the change as a city council or by presenting it to the city for a vote. So thank you for your time and for the opportunity to engage our local government in a way that's not presented to our neighboring cities.
Thank you. You've been pretty consistent on your message, so there's a certain beauty to that. There are
from a governmental standpoint, one of the questions when we look at something like that is where do you place these? So it
Sure.
becomes zoning issues.
Absolutely.
And so I'm a little fuzzy on how that's all going to come together. But you know what our charter says, and so we will move forward on that. And we should have an answer here pretty shortly.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
You bet.
Of course, we're available to you to answer any questions in any way and be assistive in the process. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Public comment is still open. Any additional comments to council this evening? I'm not seeing any. I'm going to now close the public comment portion of the meeting at 8:01. Marcy, I'm going to roll it on over to you for the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. And starting with the minutes to approve for the October 16th and 23rd, 2018 council meeting minutes, and the ordinances for first reading is ordinance number 5618, approving a zone change on 0.3 acres from medium density residential to general business. Ordinance number 5418, amending Chapter 2.16 of the Richland Municipal Code related to the Planning Commission. Ordinance number 5918, amending Chapter 23.70 of the Richland Municipal Code related to the Board of Adjustments. Ordinance number 6018, approving the 2019 budget and the 2019 through 2024 capital improvement plan. Ordinance number 6118, amending the 2018 budget to increase appropriations in the Streets Capital Construction Fund. Ordinance number 6218, repeal Richland Municipal Code Chapter 2.54, related to the Environmental Review Committee. Ordinances for second reading and passage. Ordinance number 5118, approving the annexation and zoning of 67 acres known as the Lorraine J subdivision. Ordinance number 5218, approving the 2019 ad valorem tax and property tax levies. Ordinance number 5318, approving the 2019 ad valorem tax to preserve unlevied capacity. Ordinance number 5518, authorizing vacation of a portion of right-of-way at Shockley Road. Resolutions for adoptions. Resolution 14018, authorizing a purchase and sale agreement with Emil and Majimra Kordic. Resolution number 14918, authorizing a special transportation planning study agreement with the Washington State Department of Transportation for a regional north-south travel capacity study. Resolution number 15018, authorizing an interlocal agreement with the City of West Richland and Benton County for a regional north-south travel capacity study. Resolution number 15118, authorizing an agreement with the Richland School District for school resource officers. Resolution number 15218, authorizing an aquatic land outfall easement with the Washington State Department of Natural Resources. Resolution number 15318, authorizing a first amendment to the Horn Rapids Landfill Gas-to-Fuel Project gas purchase and site license agreement with W.R. Henderson Construction, Inc. Resolution number 15518, authorizing a bulk printing and mailing service agreement with Insofen, Inc., and Resolution number 15618, approving the final plat of Westcliff Heights Phase 1A. Items for approval is appointment to the Board of Adjustment, Sherry Richards. Appointments to the Personnel Committee is Barbara Newell, and a proclamation of appreciation for Jeff Marzik. Expenditures for approval are from October 8th, 2018 through October 26th, 2018 for $12,088,000, $129.24.
I'll second that. Please cast your electronic ballot. Count. I don't work on my language. The consent calendar is hereby approved. We don't have any items of business, so I'm going to go around the table. Cindy, you have any comments? Good for the order?
I do have a little bit of a funny. You do have an award-winning city manager. I won the chili cook-off. After years and years and years.
Of perfecting my... You know, I got out there, we're born every now and then, right?
No, seriously, it was a great event. Once again, I want to thank staff for putting it on. Tom was also award-winning, just saying. Patty Rowe was award-winning, but I took first. It's all in jest, but staff did a great job. I appreciate this particular event. We not only provide funding and donations for United Way, but it's a great morale booster, and all of our departments get involved. We've had a lot of fun over the years. I believe We started this in 2008, might have been 7, a long time ago. So the fire hydrant that sits right out these doors is the trophy. It does not move, and the award winners get their names on it, and then we get a little cheesy award that we put in our offices for a year. So anyway, if you missed it, please come next year. I know Terry was there this year, and I think he had a good time and lots of chili to try. So again, thanks, staff.
Thank you, Cindy. Heather, I know you're up for about the last 2 hours, so I don't know if I want to engage you or not because you look very studious over there. I see that.
Nothing to share. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to ask. Mr. Anderson.
No comments.
Mr. Alvarez.
A couple things. Veterans Day is coming up on Monday, so I want to go ahead and say thank you for all the active military and service members and veterans for your service. I know the Marine Corps birthday ball is this Friday at the Pasco Red Lion. I will be there. Also, there will be a Veterans Parade in West Richland coming on November 10th. Next Saturday. Well, so that's all I have. Also, I'm just going to guess. Are there any high schoolers here that are doing anything for classes? 2. So if you want to wait until after we're done, I'll sign if you need something to sign, and I'll give you a couple of Richland pins as well if you'd like to have those, so you can prove to your teacher that you were here.
He's working those voters no matter how old. John, do you have a comment?
I do. I just wanted to recognize Terry, who recently had a birthday at this council meeting.
All right, he's 57. Yeah. No, don't go there. Some of us are not on the side of that. I want to hear that crap. Thank you, John. Oh, Phil.
No comment.
Ryan?
No comment, Mr. Mayor.
That's nice. Mr. Christensen.
Not tonight, Mayor.
And you lucky devils, I don't have any either. Good evening, everybody.
I'm Chief Taylor. On behalf of all the veterans here at the Richland Police Department, I'd like to thank those serving in our armed forces and all those who have served in our armed forces.
Thank you for protecting our freedom.
Thank you for putting country above yourself.
It is with honor that we salute you today and every day.
Thank you for your sacrifice, commitment, and bravery.
To those that put themselves in harm's way every day, thank you.
To the men and women that have served in our armed forces, I want to say thank you. And to those in the Marine Corps,
Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of grease does not go a long way. When washed down the drain, grease sticks to the inside of sewer pipes, not only on your property, but throughout the city's sewer drainage system. Over time, the grease builds up and can result in costly sewer repairs for both the home and the city. Buildup in sewer lines continues to be a problem that can only be solved with your help. Please dispose of grease properly. More information and helpful tips are available on the City of Richland's webpage.
just wanna be cool. I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone. Said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, sing with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. Now I'm way to a world unknown. I throw myself aboard a mission I wanna explore. Now being cool is about doing what I love, and every day I rise and start living it up. Make mistakes and fail a ton, taking on life just to make it fun. I spend a lot of time working for the man, too scared to jump in the light without no plan. Well, it is what it is, what it do. I'm taking it to another level of cool. Staring in the eyes of every fear and understanding there's no place for it here. I'm gonna get excited and celebrate. I'm gonna move on from all my mistakes. I'm gonna love like I never loved before, to keep you coming back. I just cool. I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone. Said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, sing with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. Now way. To party all night. I don't wanna be gone. Said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, sing with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. I just wanna be cool. I just wanna be alright. I wanna stand where people plan to party all night. I don't wanna be gone. Said I just wanna have fun. Make some noise, sing with my boys, party all night long till the light gets gone. Now fade away.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Explore Richland. I'm Mark Ingham. Well, today we are exploring at the Caterpillar Cafe, which is located on the Simon side of the Uptown Shopping Center. And we are here to talk about a subject that is near and dear to the heart of at least my wife. I'm talking about shopping. Now soon it'll be one of the busiest shopping times of the entire year. Nestled between Black Friday and Sunday is Small Business Saturday. Now, the City of Richland is encouraging residents to participate in Small Business Saturday, and we've come up with an exciting event to make sure they do just that. Now, to talk about that, we are pleased to welcome Mandy Wallen to the program. Mandy is the Marketing Specialist in the Economic Development Department. Mandy,
absolutely.
Now, Mandy, you're a new face here at the City of Richland, and I kind of wanted to start off by introducing you to our residents. So, can you please start out by maybe just telling us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the City of Richland?
Well, just over a month I've been with City of Richland, and I'm actually loving the work that I'm doing here. I came from Trios Foundation, where I did a lot of major events and community development. And I served on Planning Commission for 6 years, so some of the faces in Richland are a little more familiar, so that makes it fun.
Wow. We have an exciting event coming up. Talk with us about what the City of Richland has planned for Small Business Saturday.
Well, City of Richland is really partnering a lot with our Uptown and Parkway businesses to be able to feature them on Small Business Saturday with a promotion from 10 to 4. We're going to be handing out passports. Residents can come pick those up and get deals and coupons for different businesses within those two areas. They get the passport stamped by 10 participating businesses, and then that qualifies them for prizes.
Wow. And where do they pick up those passports at?
Well, we're going to have 2 locations, so right here at Caterpillar Cafe, and then we'll also have one for Encore Wellness on the Parkway.
Wow, that's an exciting event. I believe it's the second time we've done this.
Second time we've done it, so we're hoping to grow the event, but if nothing else, we just want to make sure we feature businesses and get everybody out to have a good, supportive Small Business Saturday.
You bet. Yeah, I remember it being a great event last year, and I wanted to ask you, do people need to purchase anything at these stores?
No, that's kind of the best part. They don't Actually have to purchase anything. They just need to go in and obviously engage someone to get their stamp, and other than that they don't have to make a purchase. Some of them do have discounts available, so there's benefits to purchasing, but that's not something they have to do.
Okay, great. Now, what are business owners saying about this event? Is this an event they're excited about? You know, what do they get out of an event like this?
So the businesses are kind of excited to play because they pay a $20 donation towards the prize packages, and so those are kind of put together by donations from the businesses. And then it just brings traffic to their store, some awareness. There's sometimes turnover in some of these kind of Parkway type businesses in the uptown, and so it brings awareness to their business. They give back to the community, and so it's just kind of a fun partnership for everybody.
Yeah, you bet. Now let's talk about the prizes. You mentioned $20 to kind of get into that, to go into the prizes. So what are the prizes this year?
Well, so we've got a lot of cool stuff so far, and it's still rolling in because Friday's the deadline for them to register.
Okay.
So we get $20 gift cards for coffee. We have coupons for the Emerald of Siam, so you get a discount on your purchase. We also have some cute signs that people have, some of the antique stores, scarves. So it just kind of depends. I get to build those baskets, so I'm anxious to see what they turn out to be. But they'll have themes, and it'll be kind of fun, some in both places. So all of the passports will get combined into one drawing for the prizes that we have.
Perfect. Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Now, is there any advice? Do you have any advice that are participating in this event?
I think the honest best to feature Small Business Saturday or participate is to come down and kind of plan to spend the afternoon, have lunch at one of the venues, get your passport stamped. It doesn't have to be a marathon. Just kind of enjoy the process and the kickoff to the holiday season.
Yeah, I thought that was an important thing to say. Is like maybe just don't get your passport and then just run into the business and stamp it and then run out. Right? I mean, that's got to be like the worst way to enjoy this event. So take your time and
take your time, enjoy it. We're going to hand out shopping bags and a little bit of swag too. So just kind of visit, take the time to get to know what's around, and enjoy.
Now, I thought of probably 10 or 15 ways to try to ask this question to you, but I kind of came up with, why is it important for the City of Richland to promote local businesses?
Well, I think it's always important to promote business in general, right? But being able to bring residents and awareness to small business is important. Being able to recognize those businesses and make everybody feel like a part of the Richland family, I think is really important. And that's our job as a city, to be able to feature them and feel like it's a cooperative relationship, and so everybody's involved and feels important.
Yeah, well said, Mandy. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the program and talking about Small Business Saturday, scheduled for November, Saturday
24th.
That's right, from 10 to 4. Come down to the Caterpillar Cafe. And we would like to thank the Caterpillar Cafe for hosting our program today. And of course, if you want more information on Small Business Saturday, you can find that at the web link below. And I would like to thank Mandy Wallner for coming on the program. Mandy is the Economic Development Specialist with the City of Richland. Thank you so much for coming on the program and talking about the upcoming exciting Small Business Saturday event. Now, if you would like more information on any program, project, or event happening in the City of Richland, I strongly encourage you to visit our website, which is at the link below. And remember, we are where you are. Find the City of Richland on all the popular social media platforms. Find us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Mark Ingham. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Explore Richland. Did you play the piano?
No, that's not a good
This year marks the 20th anniversary of the City of Richland's Tree City USA designation and the 15th year as a Tree Line USA utility from the Arbor Day Foundation. While these speak well for the city's quality of life and urban forest canopy, the designations mean much more than just holding an annual tree planting event.
The City of Richland has miles and miles of overhead electrical lines, and all those electrical lines go through backyards, and customers have trees that are planted along those lines. And if those trees go unpruned, they actually will grow up into the high voltage lines and cause power outages. So the city has an active tree pruning program that we go through and prune those trees out of the power lines to help prevent outages.
Years ago, before we started investing more money in, you were hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in outage time and manpower and materials and those things to keep that. And now we're down to a couple $1,000s per event, and I think we would average of 25 events a year down to a handful, 5-6 events a year.
But it's more than just trimming trees. It's a comprehensive program of education, proper tree selection, and removal and replacement of trees in the right-of-way corridor.
And what that is if a customer has a tree that's constantly growing into the power lines, like one of those fast-growing poplars, we'll actually come through and remove that tree at no cost with the customer's permission, and then we'll provide a landscape tree replacement voucher to go towards the purchase of a new tree. And we're looking for customers to plant trees that grow 25 feet or less.
We go, we have take our map, we break it into grids, and we move around the city in blocks and take care of the lines, patrolling the lines, and the tree crews do that. Or if this has a concern, they can call in and say, hey, I think this line and this tree are a problem. Can you take a look? We'll send someone out, take a look. If it is, we can get up there and trim it back or do what we can do.
Richland Energy Services has numerous resources about proper tree care available from the city's website, or you can call the tree trimming phone line at 942-7429. It's a team effort between the city and its citizens that ensures Richland's urban forest is kept healthy and safe, and power due to downed power lines are kept to a minimum.
Our reliability is really one of the best for a utility our size on the Northwest. And part of that is keeping those trees trimmed back and keeping our clock alive and running well.
Oh, wow! Spud nuts, my favorite.
Not all criminals are this stupid. Don't ruin your day by making it any easier on them. Lock it, remove it, or lose it. No one steals my spud nuts.
The Richland Public Library is proud to call itself a third space, different from home, work, or school, complementing its patrons' need for education, socialization, and entertainment.
The library is a third space because it's a space that's not your home, although you're always welcome here. It's not your office, but we encourage you to come here.